everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's TRI Crypto Countdown. TRI 100 Crypto Review. TRI Crypto tastes great. Hope you guys enjoying these offerings. I see a number of people do watch these shows through the week. You know, by all means, fire on comments and put questions and stuff in the I guess the YouTube page comment field. I'll try and respond to you if you are watching through the week. But welcome back. This is episode 44. Jeez, we've been doing this now for 44 weeks. And actually interesting how basically the entire crypto market has gone entirely full circle. I suppose you could make the argument that we were in full-on face rip mode up about this time last year, dog money, all that kind of craziness. And 1 year later, now things are a bit sketchy out there. I have my co-show hosts with me tonight. Actually, one of them suggested, and I take it under advisement, it makes sense, I talk way too much, that I do need to let him... Let the community know how he's feeling, and I am totally respectful of that. I need that kind of feedback. So hopefully, maybe, if we're really lucky, we can have like a three-way conversation this week. Hey, wouldn't that be kind of cool? Anyway, let's introduce them. And if you don't know, my name is Brian Beamish, therationalinvestor.com, a.k.a. Loudmouth Talks Too Much. But... got two co-hosts here with me this week, show co-hosts. Ben, our veteran show co-host, who's been with me since day one. How you doing this evening, Ben?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Happy to be here and hear some of your thoughts and celebrate your birthday with you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Actually, Ben, it was so cool. Ben goes, oh, geez, we should have done an Uber Eats birthday dinner for you. And I was like, I never even thought of that before. But just goes to show you're living fully in the 21st century.
Yeah.
I'm still living back in that last century. And I went downstairs to hail a cab today, and there were no cabs on the street. It was the weirdest thing. And we have Paul coming in from Romania. How are you today, Paul?
Good morning. I just wake up.
Yeah, just woke up. I thought he was making some interesting commentary on Luna and the supply of Luna. Luna, of course, is a story du jour for crypto. So if we're really lucky, maybe Paul can tell us a little bit about what he's been seeing with the supply of Luna increasing and what, of course, that implies for the price of Lunas. And what is their sort of... their big objective here in the short term. At least, I don't know whether we'll ever know exactly what their objective is, but what we can sort of interpret from what's going on is their objective. And I think it's kind of obvious. I think they want to try and defend the stable coin. But anyway, we got lots to talk about. Clearly, I think last week's guesstimates of what we were expecting crypto to do for this week's show were slightly off the mark. Probably a really good example of why sort of being in the prediction business is always a dangerous game. So we can take a look at that. And as well, too, I actually get the feeling that we're getting a lot of sort of, oh my God, crypto is over, it's all over, it's dead, it's all going to zero. And usually when that happens, ironically enough, that's actually a great time to be thinking the other direction. Of course, there's an old market adage that I've followed over the years. You want to be buying when they're crying and selling when they're yelling. And I'm hearing an awful lot of crying right now. So if it's things like you're considering maybe buying Bitcoin or buying Ethereum or one of the major ideas that, of course, isn't sort of shrouded in scandal as of late, now's probably a good time to start taking a look at the charts. So we can look at some ideas. If you would like us to look at some ideas, maybe chime in and throw some symbols in the in the comments. Yeah, we got a few people over there. The Joshua McGowan, he's so awesome. Marius, Cotter. Looks like a few people are over there on the YouTube page. And of course, we're probably going to see a bunch of TRIers on that page through the show. I guess really the question ultimately is, do we want to stick to the sort of formatted, just keep moving through the list, or do we want to just take viewer requests and just sort of make this an Ask Me Anything and even open up the questions to the panel to just sort of get group feedback? I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. So, you know what I actually think I really, really like at the end of these shows, I asked the boys for a closing comment. I actually really like the idea that before we jump into anything in earnest, why don't we start off with a opening comment? So maybe we'll give Paul's just waking up and having a smoke and his coffee and stuff. So maybe we'll give Ben the opportunity right off the bat. I don't know. What do you think? What do you make out of the price action over the past week or two?
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, seeing something like Luna down 90+%.
Yeah. Ouch.
And knowing, you know, how many people were tied up with, you know, Anchor.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I guess an opening thought, anybody that's going through this, probably just to echo some of what you spoke about today, like, you're not alone and it's not the end. If someone's in a pretty hectic situation where they've been, you know, lost a decent amount or took on too much risk, yeah, you're in the right place to kind of get some sound advice from hold your hand and walk you through it and help you get back on your feet. So
that's cool. Yeah. You know, I think just for legal purposes, because I'm sure, you know, YouTube is probably talking with the SEC of late. Probably super duper important that you all understand that we're just three guys in the market on this show. Some of us have a lot of experience. Some of us have very little experience. And all we're doing is we're just sharing sort of our collective experiences. Sort of 1 + 1 = 3, but at no point in time whatsoever do we have any, and we'll look at our predictions as proof of that. Do we really know what's going to happen in the future? And ironically enough, survivability in this game and actually profitability in this game is actually more about turning this whole game into a statistical model. Than actually getting into the business of predicting the future. So if somebody's going to be sitting here going, great, these guys are going to tell me exactly what's going to happen, I can pretty much guarantee you we're not. But at least we'll give you an idea of, you know, half of my job is actually to try and just stop the people from chasing into the up markets. And the irony of it all is there's lots of little tells and stuff that... the question ultimately is, do you actually listen to the tells? A lot of people just can't listen to the tells and they end up getting wiped out. So I appreciate that you think that this is a good place to get good steering, Ben. That speaks volumes. He just said that so naturally too. So hopefully, yeah. Today's Daily Brief rant was quite a piece, wasn't it? You know, so.
Yeah, it was good, especially for anybody wanting to know more about the Luna situation specifically and diving into that chart. Especially if you're part of the TRI community and haven't checked that out, you could probably go back and watch the Daily Brief.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say? The market's down. It looks like poop. Okay, now what do you do? Good part about it is, hey, at least we're back into value. That's a good sign, right? Our level 2ers learned this is, I think I've talked to you guys about this before. This is what we call a D profile. And when you're up here and you see the profile that looks like this, you know, be forewarned. So that's the irony of all of this. It's not really, we don't really reinvent the wheel here. It's just basic concepts. So anyway, I love the fact that people actually feel as though they're not getting blown a bunch of smoke up their butts when they're at TRI. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh yeah, you buy my idea, you're going to make $1 billion. I mean, that's the way you sell lots of subscriptions. That's the way you get referral codes. That's the way you get the gold watches. But you all know that's not my bend. I can't do it. I can't sleep at night if, mind you, I've been in the business forever. I used to be a fellow of the Canadian Securities Institute, which, of course, is a big old ethics designation. Kind of like, okay, public, this guy's not going to lie to you. That's theoretically what it was supposed to mean. But anyway, so I actually really appreciate that, Ben, and I really appreciate that. That's all I can say is just the fact that comes from so naturally flowing from his lips. It wasn't like that was scripted or anything. Beauty. All right, Paul, it's your turn. What the hell are you making out of all of this?
Yeah, just a nice crypto space. These things will happen in the past, they will happen in the future. Nothing new. It's sad because many people had money invested in Luna and other projects. But you have to manage your risk. It's quite simple. If you don't manage your risk, these things will happen periodically. So I just do these last weeks. I just do day trading and nothing else.
Yeah.
And even in day trading, I had, I guess, 6 trades in last 3 days.
So even in this sort of chaotic market state, you're still finding that you're fairly active, eh?
Yeah, but not so much like last week, let's say.
Yeah.
Because I try to take fewer trades because this environment don't respect so well the PA part.
Right, and that's a good part, good comment too. In fact, actually, somebody even mentioned that on the video today, the daily brief. We were talking about that in the environment of questionable fundamentals, TA can sometimes fall apart. So be careful. The interesting thing also too, as this chart on the screen clearly illustrates, is sometimes price can move down 2 or 3 times faster than it moves up. Sometimes I suppose it can be 100 times faster. So in these kind of environments, ironically enough, actually this is actually beneficial to the short traders. And the technical setups, in these kind of short scenarios, man, they can work very, very quickly. So, if anything, just get really good at learning how to trade setups. Good to hear that you're still active. And I often suggest to people on this site that, there are times when little old ladies can be active in the marketplace. And unfortunately, if we look at something like a Luna and just even a month or so ago, a little old lady can't touch that. You cannot go and buy that and call yourself a little old lady. I'm sorry. That's against the rules. You got to wait for at or below reload zones. Now, I'm not saying that Luna is even going to survive here. Frankly speaking, I think you just got to leave this thing alone and let it sort itself out. But other names that are coming down into reload zones and starting to show signs of divergence and maybe even W's in price, can you have the temerity to step in and buy those? It really all depends on your plan. And as Paul said there, little old ladies, they're not doing anything right now, just chilling. Maybe doing a little bit of nibbling here and there, but certainly not aggressive. Day traders, actually, we have a day trader room on the site, and one of our it's beautiful to watch because I actually do consider a lot of you kind of like my children, and watching you guys sort of grow up and find your sort of particular niche in the trading world. Kind of like that idea that I'm the gardener and I get to watch you guys all blossom. I love that thinking. And one of our day traders has just discovered the DOM. and understanding how he can sit and just take money from the market on a daily basis, just trading in front of icebergs. So beautiful to see. I saw him on camera today, and I can see that he's got the fire in his eyes. So even in these kind of chaotic market states where the market's zipping up and down and up and down, guys are in there just day trading, having fun, clipping the market here and there, and enjoying themselves. It's great to see. All right, did I let you finish your thought there, Paul? Are you done, or would you like to add a little bit more?
Yeah, on some altcoins is the price risk versus information risk. So they have some nice location, but you don't have any other reasons to go and nibble in the algo space. But the location on some altcoins is really nice, 78.6.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So it depends on everyone's plan if they want. Even on Luna, for me, it's a nice price to start little or late on Luna.
Yeah.
Better than that. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It depends on everyone.
Sounds good. Did find it interesting. We actually have an options club at TRI, and we got together last night, and it was fascinating to see how the institutional players on this CME contract are sort of repositioning themselves in the options market. So again, there's a million different ways to skin this cat. In fact, actually, we have one gentleman on the site who's just a whiz spread trader. And it's fascinating to watch him in action in the market. Actually, he's our official TA for the options level 3 sort of program this term. Super excited to have him on board. Anyway, so we had an options meeting last night, and we hashed out some of the options data on crypto. Unfortunately, it's not overly bullish. So I don't know whether I want to go into that right away. But if anything, it kind of explains why we're seeing the price in the options, in the futures coming off here. So, in a weird sort of way, actually, what I see when I look at that image is I see two really big liquidity pool hunts. And in a weird sort of way, I think it actually speaks a lot to, what happened in Luna. I put a tweet out going, geez, it sure seems like somebody's going after liquidity pools in this market state. So I wonder if we're lucky, hope, we're near some sort of inflection point. Did see a bit of open interest, unfortunately, all the way down to the 20,050. I think it's 20,500 strike on the puts. So be forewarned. And of course, we just saw what happened with Luna, so you can see the profile there. I won't add anything more to that conversation. Picture tells 1,000 words. And also, too, we can do things like Wyckoff checks. Actually, Benkoff checks. No, screw that Wyckoff guy. Benkoff checks. Damn it. Also against the profile levels. So, I'll let the story tell itself in that regard. The only problem here is, markets never move in a straight line. So are we maybe getting to the point where if you did actually step in and sell your beloved Bitcoins, you're actually being a little bit maybe not smart about the idea? I highly encourage people to try and get to know Willie and the whole idea of sort of investor windows where usually the investors actually do exactly the wrong thing because they're driven by emotional decisions. And that's basically what this indicator, if you see the yellow line in the overbought condition or the oversold condition, it probably means that the move is getting really old and you might be like selling into a bottom or buying into a top. I mean, that's the whole reason why I built this indicator, and it works very, very well. So you can see a picture says 1,000 words. Are you stepping into an overbought market here, or are you stepping into an oversold market? And of course, with the way the whole darn market's been acting, it doesn't surprise me that this market is getting oversold. And now I'm actually starting to hear sort of stuff on Twitter. Crypto's going to zero, all that kind of stuff. Oh, Jesus. So, ironically enough, usually that's actually the end of a move. It's always chaotic down here, and it usually takes about a few weeks or so to find some sort of bottom and turn the corner. And my hunch is when you start seeing the W's start coming back in on these momentum oscillators, we'll probably start turning back up. So that's a bit of a slower look. I'd also say too, TRI's got this awesome, here's the shameless plug for the website, folks. Sorry. I just got to find the website. Oh, here it is over here. There we are. TRI's got this awesome breadth indicator that we built recently, which gives you kind of a general tone of the market. And I really suggest that you just simply use this. If I'm going to be hunting bullish setups, I want to see that this is trending higher. And if I'm going to be hunting bearish setups, I want to see that it's trending lower. And unfortunately, we were sitting in a kind of a happy-go-lucky market there. And like this was our justification last week for kind of thinking uppy. And then, of course, we had the Fed, and the Fed came and just pooped on all our heads. Yeah, we're raising rates, and we think inflation is a problem, so we're going to be keeping our foot on the brakes. So the whole darn market rolled over there. And I was super impressed. Josh, basically the gentleman who's captaining the Twitter feed of late. So if you've been watching that Twitter feed, where do I show you that? This is basically Josh's work, and I gotta say, man, he is Captain PMA. He's just it's so beautiful. And what do you think, Ben? I mean, like, it's actually almost like artistic, the work that he does, eh?
Yeah, he's a pro.
Yeah.
It's good.
Really, really nice. So, I suppose I just set you up with a softball question. Yeah, if you got nah, that sucks. I was like, what?
Yeah, no, it's good. He has a really good way of taking like what you say and putting it into a really succinct graphical representation and something that people can share and digest, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
he's just a great guy from.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, the guy is like sweet as butter. I mean, just fantastic person. So, anyway, point of the matter here is, I think the tone of late has been sort of like, just don't go aggressive here, people. But anyway, he's been working away on using the breadth indicator and building out sort of if then else kind of approach, and he's either long or short. He's hunting longs, he's hunting shorts. He's very active in the market, and because the breadth indicator broke down there a few days ago, I mean, not just he actually was able to catch a lion's share of this meltdown in price. Because basically the algo told him to go short, or hunt short setups, and he's like, all right, well, whatever short setup I get, I gotta go, and boom, down goes the market, and he's a happy camper. So, I really love how this site, the data integration, we've been building out this. Every 4 years we're supposed to have a developer cycle. And actually, this was what we spent the past 4 years working our butts off to bring into fruition. And actually, here's another great anecdote. This is a histogram of the rate of change. And the general rule is that if you see on the short term, the rate of change is, fall off a cliff bearish, and the rate of change on the medium term is also fall off a cliff bearish. Actually, this is saying we're very, very close to some sort of short-term pivot. Because what this image is basically saying is all of the short-term traders, they're all either they have sold or they are short. At some point, you're just going to run out of short-term traders. They're all shorts. And then this image is basically your swing traders. We should probably also do one on a longer term basis to get the idea for investors. But basically, medium term, everybody like that's sort of, and actually somebody even on TRI Lounge posted the fact that Phoenix shorts were starting to shoot up again, and they hadn't seen that in forever. But anyway, the point of the matter is, on the medium term, now everybody is either, swing trader short, or they have already sold. At some point, you're just going to run, the market's going to run out of sellers. And then that's when you usually get the violent whipsaw rallies back up. So that's kind of encouraging to see. How long this takes to resolve, that's a tough one. Unfortunately, we're in an odd, going back actually to the blog, and this is such a great sales pitch for the site. I don't really mean it to be, sorry everyone, but gotta say, man, I actually love just mining the TRI site for data now. We actually have so much information on here. You can just simply mine the site and spend hours in here. Like, so in the library, for example, I wanted to show you. I was wondering, do we have it over here? Link over here? Not there. Maybe the blog. Where's the blog? I thought I would have had the blog on here. There it is, the blog. Yay! So this is, like I said, this is Joshua's. He's been managing the blog and the public face of the Twitter page. And this was a report actually we put out in February, the January barometer. So basically the irony of it all is that back in January, we already knew that this was going to be a train wreck. And this is this is called a decennial report. Basically, it just sort of what are all the years in two, if we average them out, what does the price action look like? And again, the problem here is, where is the bottom? Are we in this stage right here, sort of halfway through this correction? Unfortunately, I do get the feeling that that's the case. And then finally, and this is a little bit more advanced, but frankly speaking, I think it behooves crypto enthusiasts to understand the political cycle and how it affects price action. Of course, I don't know whether we even have it in here. There's Paul. Hey, Paul. Thanks for your for your input. All right. Anyway, I thought it was funny. We have the. I wanted to show you it, but I don't know where it is. Maybe it's in here. It's the election cycle I'm looking for. I'm not quite sure where the hell I put it. There it is. So, unfortunately, and this is sort of like chicken versus the egg, or maybe that's not the right term. Does the tail wag the dog, or does the dog wag the tail? So, according to typical sort of midterm election year cycles, what should price action look like? So here we are, the middle of May, and I think we're this blue dotted line. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Yeah. So I think we're this blue dotted line here, and you can see that a little bit of a counter trend rally into middle of May, but then for Jesus, and really you can see all of them. Midterm election year. So as Paul was sort of saying, we're coming into location, but is this going to take another month or so to finally pivot where we put in some sort of substantial bottom where we could see a nice counter trend rally in risk assets? That might just be the case, folks. This is a tough window that we're in right now. And unfortunately, how do you get prices to come down like this? Well, what you're seeing in that Luna story, unfortunately, I think is actually a blatant attack. I think it is a blatant move by the market. After it's done, unfortunately, we always have to ask ourselves, and the weird part about this is it's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is an unregulated space. I think a couple bullies just came in. They walked on the schoolyard. They saw that, hey, there was this sixth grader. Now, these guys are in high school. But they noticed this sixth grader was kind of holding court. And they are, high school bullies. And they came in and then they just punched this. They just punched this sixth grader out is what they just did. They just took him out behind the portables and just beat him up. That's what that looks like to me. And so ultimately, we ask ourselves, and remember, I was a stockbroker. I came from the investment community. So we always ask ourselves, maybe a little bit of regulation isn't such a bad thing. Now, I don't know how this is going to play out because the sixth grader himself does not want a teacher on the playground monitoring things. So, actually, we had a fun little bet in the day trader room. Tafari, you killed us. Well, I always place these fun little day trader room bets. So, bullish. Thomas and Adam were bullish, and Tafari was bearish, and you can see what the end result is here. So, anyway. So, the weird part about this is it almost becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the worst part about this, I think, is does this serve someone like a granny who's basically in charge of the U.S. government sort of financial side right now? Would she like to try and regulate this space? I don't know. Paul, what do you think? Have you been listening to what Janet Yellen's been saying these days? Would she prefer to just basically sit on these kids?
Honestly, I don't know. I just look at the chat. I don't listen to any news.
All right. Well, at least that's an honest answer. Ben, what do you think? Have you heard anything out of Janet Yellen recently to either help or hurt the regulatory sort of rhetoric?
Only that, just not too crash hot on anything competing with the US dollar.
Yeah. What I did find interesting is she has a very regular sort of routine of speaking to the U.S. government, sort of the Congress. Because keep in mind, in the U.S., the way it's supposed to work is the president and the executive branch is supposed to go to Congress as the ultimate lobbyist of the people. Congress is actually the people Congress is actually the authority in the United States. So, but anyway, that's here and there. I did watch her testimony the other day, and she actually made direct reference to Luna and its stablecoin issues in her testimony in front of the lawmakers of the United States. Is this an awfully coincidental event? How everything seems to be happening all very conveniently at the same time. I did find it interesting. On the website we have a fairly active astrological community, and recently one of our astrological gurus pointed out that moon eclipse cycles are very, very good for sort of timing transitions in the market. And it's interesting to see that we just entered into a lunar eclipse cycle where it's sort of the solar one happens the 30th of April and then the lunar one happens 16th of May. And then notice we actually go through a quiet period. And then we go back into chaos on the lunar cycle, so the eclipse cycle, 8th of November. I mean, it's interesting. Oh, we don't even have any. Yeah, Ben, you're still. Are you actually a U.S. landed? You're not a U.S. citizen, are you?
No.
All right.
Just the green card.
Green card. All right. So we don't even actually have any Americans on the call anymore to comment. We used to have a couple of Americans, so at least we could ask them. what they're thinking as Americans. But we don't, I'm a nutso Canadian loony freak, and we got Mr. Castro in charge of our country at the moment. So I'm not one to sit here and go, hey, Canada's so much better. But anyway, the point is that, frankly speaking, I think the United States is still the world's economic engine. I think the United States went through a 20-year sort of correction cycle, and everybody sort of said, no, US, it's over, that's the end of them, and they don't realize all this stuff moves in cycles. And I actually think that we're now into a 20-year look out, USA is going to rock this world cycle now. But anyway, the point of the matter here is that, if we're thinking the decennial cycle, we're thinking about the sell in May and walk away, we're thinking about the January barometer, we're thinking about the election years, all that, right? Seeing some sort of pivot there around later part of May, to me, I think makes perfect sense. And I just sort of showed you, just illustrated, Willie is actually officially stupidly oversold. Unfortunately, today is not May 16th. This is still a week away. So I don't know how much longer this carnage goes on here in the market, but I really wouldn't expect a pivot until we're out of there. And then interestingly, and I'd sort of made reference to the Americans, 8th of November. Something's supposed to happen on the 8th of November? Ben, you're in Florida, aren't you? So I suppose you probably hear a little bit about this.
Something to do with the vote?
Yeah, we had a big election. I think it's the first Tuesday. Is it the first? Maybe it's the second Tuesday of November. I seem to recall from my civics classes. So I think 8th. Oh, gee whiz, look at that. It's a Tuesday, and it's the second Tuesday of November. Interesting.
Wow.
So, huh?
I said, wow, that's...
Yeah. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. So, the interesting thing is you see how chaotic... hey, Adam, maybe we got to get you onto this show here. He's in Sacramento. I left my wallet in El Segundo. Maybe it was Sacramento. It was one of the two. Anyway. Dumb joke. Anyway, interesting the chaos that you see in the market now. And what a coincidence. We're going to have that same chaotic window right around the election. Do you see how we're setting ourselves up? Oh my goodness, this election here this fall could be absolutely nuts. Anyway. So the good part about it is get us on the other side of this darn May, and then maybe things can settle, or this May 16th, 1 week from now, maybe things can settle down a little bit. Anyway, so that's food for thought for you there. I love this. I gotta say, I really like this website, this whole community. We have so many different facets of this website that really it's a lot of fun to come in on a daily basis. You just don't know what's going to grab your attention. El Segundo, thank you, Josh. All right, so, oh God, never a dull moment, eh? Okay, let's get into our sort of job here tonight. Running the spreadsheet, demonstrating that probably going into the prediction business is not in your best interest. So we just had the Fed meeting, and honestly, I got the impression that the market was feeling relatively optimistic around the Fed. But literally, we finished that Fed meeting, and within hours, the market just started breaking apart, which I thought was fascinating. I was slightly bullish. Actually, I think that's Nick. Excuse me, Ben. Nick. Ben was neutral, so at least he didn't get caught. I bought some call options. Obviously, they went down in value. And our latest addition to the team, Paul. Paul looks like he's cutting his teeth at the moment. Maybe getting settled into the job of crystal ball reader. But I think Paul was officially wrong this past week. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was basically wrong too. So, but wow, what a haircut, man! That when the market started to melt down like that, it's so ironic because I've told you guys in past. Bitcoin loves to poop on my birthday. That is my birthday, May 11th. Happy birthday, Brian. Woo, 52 years. What a man. Anyway, year in, year out in crypto loves to crap on my birthday. I don't know why. But lo and behold, once again, crypto has dumped on my birthday. And I've kind of told you guys in the past, getting near, and, write this down. If you're watching this video for the first time, you want to take something away from this, like... there's got to be some notes and stuff. Just to make this note. Beamish birthday, May 11th. GTFO. Ahead of the event. And if you get some sort of crazy-ass capitulation, maybe consider it. That's Brian's birthday gift to you. Oh, goodness. And actually, this makes perfect sense, because what this will go down, maybe if I'm lucky, right? And then people actually remember me after I'm dead. Maybe that's my gift to the universe. Beamish's birthday. Here comes his birthday present for you all. So anyway, it is what it is. And if you know what this also too is, and I actually kind of like this, and I've said this, and I actually put out on the my Twitter feed, I actually took a clip of last week's show when we did our predictions, and then played it right after the market broke, and I even said last week, this website and this experiment is a really, really good lesson in why none of us should get into the business of predicting the future. So I gotta say, guys, it's actually pretty damn difficult. It might be interesting to maybe even give the panelists the opportunity to say, I'm in a setup, so as a result, I'm thinking this way because that's the way the setup is going right now. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, but I vetted my setup and it's 2/3 accurate, so I've got pretty good edge, if you will, in making a prediction. But then also give the panelists the ability to go, I don't have any setups working. I honestly don't know, so I'm not even going to make a reference. That's interesting. Oh, Shane's calling. He's probably to wish me a happy birthday, sweetheart. Okay, Shane. I guess I can turn that off. Hopefully he'll leave a message. Alright. So, really, really good lesson. Probably don't want to get into the business professionally, predicting the future. And also, too, I would consider this more fun than anything else. And probably also, and I thought this was a really interesting commentary, because I even said last week, what are the odds that the market actually tanks here? Because all three of us have bullish or neutral votes. Yeah, Ben, we got to move you over here. Somehow I got to move these darn columns around here. And sure enough, this week was a red column, and none of us were voting red. I mean, how ironic is that, eh? Okay, so eat yourself a big piece of humble pie. Maybe a good lesson for Mr. Quant. And actually, a kind of a fun, lighthearted look at the Luna situation. I love this, the sense of humor of our traders on the TRI site. The only problem is I don't know where the hell it was posted. But earlier today, did you guys see that the Wrath of Khan picture, I guess, a meme or whatever that was posted in the lounge? That really made me laugh. I thought that was so funny. So, Khan! That was hilarious. So, no, I can't find it. It takes forever. Gotta save these images. So, if anything, actually, this is an interesting. Well, no, I don't want to get into that right now. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So, what do we want to do here, gentlemen? Do we want to look at any name in particular? Do we want to just keep moving on? Do we want to take requests? Ben, do you want me to look at anything in particular? Paul, would you like to look at anything in particular? What should we do?
I mean, we could throw it out to the YouTube audience and see if we get a lot of comments. If we get a lot,
All right.
people are wanting to look at things. That'd be
okay.
yeah,
So, Nick used to go into the chat and just sort of intermingle with them. I don't know whether you want to maybe just go in there and just put, hey guys, you want to fire in a symbol if you're interested, or something along those lines, and then just keep track of what they're interested in.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we, we'll just start off. I don't know really where the best place to start off. I mean, I did talk a little bit about Bitcoin, so why don't we maybe do just a quick minute on Bitcoin, and then you guys, if you want me to look at something in particular, I'm more than happy to. Also, too, I wouldn't mind giving Paul an opportunity to participate more. So by all means, Paul, if you can think of something, or you'd like to share something, or you'd like to look at a chart or something, please feel free to chime in. There's a couple things that jumped out at me. Probably one thing that you can take away from this, try and it might be very, very difficult for you to do this, but just maybe think about this in the back of your mind going forward. Maybe take a screenshot. I like to use the MACD histogram. I mean, this is really the whole MACD study, but I put away the MACD and the signal line. And I actually like to just follow the actual yellow background. It's called a histogram. And it basically, like, this is the blue line you see on the screen is the difference between two moving averages. And the red line is a moving average of the difference of those two moving averages. And then the histogram is just a visual representation of the rate of change of the difference between the moving average plus or minus and it's let's get a little complicated, but and its moving average. Point of the matter here, right? Market's moving up. And we can actually discern a lot of information about sort of the strength of the move based on what the distance is between this blue line and this red line. And then what is that trend going forward? The trend is really, whoops, now what have I done? The trend is really what direction is this making in relation to higher highs and lower highs, and lower lows and lower highs and lower lows, higher lows and higher highs. Right? Uptrend, downtrend. It's really that simple. And actually it works really, really well to sort of show you internally the strength or weakness of a move. And the principle is just basically, I don't know. Should I take the opportunity to describe this, or should we just leave it at that? I don't know. I don't want to waste a lot of time here. What do you think, Ben?
I mean, repetition is the key to pedagogy. So I like the idea of people get to only tune in once a week. This is important stuff.
Well, Paul, what do you think? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll continue on this line. I just didn't want people to go, oh God, he's going rambling on endlessly. So the point of the matter here is, as we sort of, and you can see on this image that higher lows, and then if we can go through this event right here, well, what letter of the alphabet does that make? A big W. That's telling you that, hey, the internal momentum of whatever this is, like you could be measuring the price of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the price of Bitcoin, the price of broiler chickens, for lack of a better term. Doesn't really matter. So the point here is that what I want you to take away from this is that inherently the market is always either in conjunction with price, or momentum itself is in divergence of price. It's either one or the other. And, it's your job as a professional speculator to actually look for clues in the marketplace that tell you that, hey, yes, this market is really, really uppy in price, but hey, the internal momentum's not that great. And you better be careful. And then conversely, everybody and their brother is selling, and everybody and their brother is pessimistic. The internals of the market are actually saying it's not nearly as bearish as you think it is. That's what we call edge in the marketplace. That's what we're always striving for. So this is a situation when I just saw this. This is why I really wanted to mention this to you, because clearly, and for current market context, we always want to ask ourselves, well, what did you see most recent? Do you see a W or do you see an M? And unfortunately, what I see is up, down, up, fail. And then counter trend rally, and then another fail. So what's the general message of momentum? It's down, right? Lower highs and lower lows defines a bear market. If you're going to sit here and tell me, well, Brian, actually the price of Bitcoin, because we're measuring the Bitcoin futures, the price of Bitcoin is actually stronger than what the market is telling you, I'd have to disagree with you there. Actually, I think the market is actually pretty weak. And where you could use this for edge is last week, I noticed, and this is sort of starting the Fed. Actually, no, this is all the way back into the beginning of April. Notice how we're making higher highs in price, but our MACD histogram was not making higher highs. That's problematic. This is what's called divergence. Unfortunately, the divergence confirms right there where this M basically confirms itself. So at this point right here, and you can see that was a pretty nasty down movement in the market. That's probably where we can officially say this market is actually much weaker than what you think it is. And usually in those kind of settings, right, A, B, C, D, the traders are going to start looking for setups. And, to all intents and purposes, our short-term timing signal on the website, this uses the amount of assets moving up and down in the market, not looking at any one particular asset, but looking at the entire market. Does it not make sense that probably a lot of names all started to actually break down here? Does that make sense, Ben?
Yep. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So this is where, you use the breadth indicator. You use, if you're looking at Bitcoin, you should have been, and the sad thing is this message actually came in 11th of April. 11th, 12th of April, right in there. That's a month ago. Where, oh boy, this market is not happy at all. Then, of course, what's scary about this image is hopefully everybody, well, if you're new to this, you probably have not seen this before. But this is actually what they call a bear flag. And it's upside down, but think of a flagpole. So there's the top, or there's the bottom of the flagpole, right? So typically, there's your flagpole, there's your flag. And if we break out of this range, what typically happens with a bullish flag is we go up that distance there. Well, unfortunately, this is a bearish flag, and it's basically the exact opposite. So in a bearish flag scenario, there's the flagpole, there's the flag, there's your ultimate destination. I mean, nobody wants to see that. And, just very simply put, we can start actually just coming up with some pretty, a little bit disturbing price objectives there over the medium term. I suppose if Mr. Kwan has a bit of trouble keeping the Luna story afloat and things continue to spiral out of control, well, maybe that's exactly what has to happen here. I don't know. Like I always say, don't get into the business of predicting the future. What I would say is, while this is active and all of our momentum indicators are bearish, if you are a bull, and actually I think, Ben, you probably have heard me say this a few times, but if you are a bull and you see this action, first off, that makes sense that that's a confirmed bearish divergence, right? I don't know. I'm putting more words into your mouth. Maybe you see that, maybe you don't. Hopefully you see
Yeah,
that.
the loss of that low. Mm-hmm.
So if you are bullish, what do you think you're supposed to do through this sort of scenario? I'll give you a hint.
Cool your jet.
Yeah.
And we have that frozen jet image.
Yeah. In fact, we probably should have it in the library. And actually, we have one gentleman on the site. He's one of our level 1 TAs, and he's super. He'll be posting this image. In fact, it probably wouldn't surprise me. Hey, there it is. Oh, that's the con image. Thank you, Connor. But anyway, I'll be willing to bet by the time I find this image in the library, he'll probably have already posted it. But let's see. I'll race you, Josh. We just have a rule that when you see these divergences, somewhere in all this mess, mind you, what is this? This is images? Yeah. We're supposed to, quote unquote, cool our jets. So what the heck does that look like? I don't know why I can never find this darn image. Maybe it's in here. No, those are all big concepts. Should have been in here, fun images and sound. Anyway, did he post it yet? No, he hasn't, eh? All right. Anyway, I can do a Google search, I guess. Frozen jet. Just really our job is, that guy right there. Just cool your jets. And if you want to, as a fun sort of thing, you could go copy this. And then we can just say, go something like that. And just let's even, just for fun, we'll get rid of all this, and we'll get rid of this, and we'll get rid of that. So you just have the two studies. Whoops. And the rule, just really simply put, I know it's kind of hard to do, easier said than done. But if you actually, where should we do this? I think it should, we'll do it down here. Paste. There we go. On that event, when you see this is a confirmed bearish momentum divergence. You can even say a bearish price momentum divergence. You must officially cool your jets. So, I don't know how to... All right, and so somebody on YouTube is saying, I predicted this exactly. Wow, look at all this fun stuff. Somebody's posting a bunch of charts. Okay, so, oh goodness. I hope these people didn't lose too much money. Ouch. Oh, goodness. Well, if you want some horrible anecdotes of people on YouTube getting into the business of... going balls deep and how things usually end up badly for those people, go check out the TRI Lounge. But I did sprinkle in, I don't know whether it'll do this or not, it might not. Now you can't post links in the Oh, I guess I can't do it there, but maybe if I have the page open. There it is.
Goodness.
See if I can do this.
Well, if you want some horrible anecdotes of people on YouTube
Blah, blah,
getting
blah,
into
blah.
this.
Maybe, what do we got here? Create a poll, add reaction. No, I can't post a darn link in there. Sorry, guys. Anyway, take a screenshot of that. Good. So Wade says, journal this. Journal. Good. This is a good journal material. So, point of the matter here is when you saw this higher high made, and then we saw a lower high here. Do you remember, Ben and Paul? Do you remember in the past couple weeks I noticed this when we were looking at some names, and I was going, oh, Jesus, look at that momentum. That doesn't look right. I seem to remember saying this, but maybe not. Maybe I didn't drive it home.
Yeah, there was a few where everything was looking good except the momentum, and that could have been it.
All right. Anyway, if you are a site member, and I think it's only site members who are really watching this, but if you're actually somebody who's not a site member, keep in mind you can always just pop on the site for a 30-day trial and free. Right? Just come hang out with us for a month or so, and maybe after a month or watching Brian's crazy rants through the day, and you might actually say, you know what? Oh, what the hell? I'll stick around for a bit. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is that's sort of my view of what I see with Bitcoin right now. It's not a bullish view. And it's now, unfortunately, right, we want to be bullish. I mean, we all want to be bullish. We all want to, well, maybe we do, maybe we don't. There are some people on this site who are shorters, and they're doing pretty well. Jerks. I don't really like shorting it. The only way I'm really going to really short for a guy like me is if I'm hunting like a 3-minute short setup on a futures contract where I know exactly where I'm entering, I know exactly where I'm exiting, and basically I'm just managing it through the day. And check out the TRI's video blog, and I did a few even just recent demonstration of sort of that day trading and things like the gold market and stuff. And actually, I got to say, this is the one thing that I'm really super excited about recently is I've been really working hard over the past year to really crisp up my day trading in the futures market. And my goal for this year was I really wanted to go back and pass my old prop firm's funding. Actually, this is not the right page for the futures. I'm not quite sure why I have this on here. So that's actually a personal goal for me, as I want to crisp up my day trading again, get it back to sort of professional quality. Been a bit sloppy over the past few years with the day trading. But, and that's the irony of it all, is when crypto is face ripping and going crazy, well, it's easy just to bang out doubles and have fun just flipping stock and stuff like that. But when the broader market goes into a bear, that's actually where having sort of the ability to day trade just to keep you active and, making a couple bucks here and there, it pays dividends to have that skill set. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, actually, here's a really good example. And actually, I put a tweet out to the effect, it's not crypto, but hopefully you can see this is a great sort of follow-up to that conversation about MACD. This is a monthly price chart. Monthly! Ay caramba! Can you see how Apple, of course the world's darling, everybody loves Apple, how it's making higher highs, but then what's going on here with the price momentum? Actually, we're making lower highs in the momentum. Uh-oh. Something's not right there. Also, too, I showed you earlier, good example of Willie being stupidly oversold. Here's a really good example of Willie being stupidly overbought on a monthly price chart. Oh my goodness. This is scary, folks. And then finally, Ben took off. Actually, not finally. Another point. Tom DeMark, 8s and 9s. I remember there was actually, I don't even really hear too much about him anymore, but I'm sure he's still out there. Tone Vase, he was a really big fan of the Tom DeMark numbering system there last cycle. I think the cycle bottom. But nonetheless, 8s and 9s, well, that can't be a good sign on a monthly price chart. Ay. And then finally, what are we supposed to think if we ever see the market actually smiling at us on a monthly price chart? Oh my goodness. That's not a good sign, folks. And the weird thing is that in the last cycle, Apple was the market's darling into 1980. And I don't remember, their big sort of splash was in 1984 Olympics. They announced the Apple Macintosh, right? And the whole anti-Big Brother message. Oh, isn't that interesting? We got so much Big Brother stuff happening now. I mean, I don't know whether there's going to be a repeat of that or not, but when I look at this price chart and just my little tutorial that I gave you guys on using the MACD histogram to illustrate price momentum, can you see that this is very, very problematic? Like, very problematic. Interesting over there on YouTube. And really, I don't want to spend too much time on the stock market. So I'll just placate you. Two people asked for something. They said, number one, can you do a Fibonacci off of, hey Paul, a Fibonacci off of this range? So up, down, up, breakdown. So this is what's called chaos theory. Interesting how basically an exploration of this liquidity pool. Remember I showed you earlier with the Bitcoin how all they do is they just run the highs and lows to hunt for liquidity? That's basically exactly the same thing. So what a surprise, 2.618 off of this topping pattern is going to take us right below that low. What a surprise. And then 4.669 actually takes us right back down to the base. And I would actually argue that if you were going to draw a trend line of Apple Computer, that's actually the long-term trend on the stock. And wow, look at that. What a surprise. What do you think, Adam? Is that the shit or what? And actually, this is kind of cool too, because you see they're going to go after this liquidity pool right in there, and this one is just basically cleaning these people out. Just so sad, right? Those people right in there, and probably these people right in here. And then we often say, in fact, maybe Ben can help. Actually, Paul this is a level 1 program, and Paul took this level 1 program. What would we call these two candles right there? Boom and boom. Because I think that's actually ultimately your long-term support on this stock.
Institutional fingerprint.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So right there, the bar that made the low plus the preceding bar, somebody was sell. And so institutional players just absorbed all that selling, right? And institutions buy down market, all that crap, right? And then notice down, up, down, breakout, check, breakout. So clearly this is the bottom. And that's basically where Mr. Fibonacci is suggesting that we have to go back to. So isn't that fascinating? Wow. Somebody also asked, Gordon asked, can you explain fib level targets for 23? 23.6 is a weird one. I don't really use that much. It's very fast. So I don't really make reference to 23.6, and I don't even know if that's even the correct fib number or not. The fibs that I use, and interestingly enough, like the 50% rule, don't call that a fib. Those are the kind of things that old-timer technicians like me drives me absolutely crazy. Because this is actually a rule that was formulated by a gentleman by the name of W.D. Gann, the 50% rule. But what I often do, and you often see this, is basically those are the fibs that a lot of people follow. Oh, surprise, surprise. Mr. W.D. Gann also likes that Fibonacci level. Isn't that an interesting coincidence, eh? So, Adam, in fact, actually, what do we call this? This would be a really good sort of I mean, honestly, this is a really good learning piece for all of you people watching this video. What does Brian think when he sees, you know, and I'll even put a little note on here. Where should we do it? God, I got so many of these darn lines. Right here, that's what I want. Sorry. Horizontal support and resistance, we'll call that support. That low. You could even argue that this is also an institutional fingerprint. The bar that made the low plus the preceding bar, you know, institutions absorbed all of that selling, so that's obviously a very important level there. What do I call it when you have multiple levels all lining up at the same place? This is sort of like the technician's dream. Thank you, Ben. You're so smart. I'm sure that's exactly what Paul was going to say. Oh, nice, Adam. You smarty pants. So, if you don't know this, write this down. This is, you know, we as technicians, what we're always looking for is what we call edge. We're looking for, well, statistically, WD Gann likes to be traded to and often pivots. We call that the 50% rule. And Mr. Feigenbaum's first bifurcation level in the sort of, and actually if you, what's really cool is if you overlay the bifurcation, actually I have it in the library. I tell you, this library is worth it. Somebody even told me recently that the library itself is actually worth the monthly subscription to the site because there's so much cool stuff in here. But I think human, where is it? How markets work in nature. I thought this was super interesting. So you can see there is the Mandelbrot set down below here. It's kind of hard to see in this video. And, you know, pop on the site. Again, I can't put these links in the live chat, so you're just gonna, like, I'll put it in the, it's in the library, and I'll put it, of course, in the lounge for everybody who's in the lounge. But check this out. This is so cool. So this is the Mandelbrot set down here. Again, it might be hard for you to see that. And as we zoom in, you'll see it better. And then this is the bifurcation sort of timeline. So watch. There is, you know, this is the classic Mandelbrot bug. You've probably seen this image. Now it's it's both top and bottom. So on here, you're just coming along the line. So you only see half of the bug. But there is basically the bifurcation schedule of how sort of the random distribution of numbers works. And there, of course, is Mr. Mandelbrot. And you can see at this very specific point, that's where all of this gets created. So that's a pretty darn important pivot. Same thing here. So you could almost think, and I don't know if this is totally correct, but I have been sort of mulling this, is that this first portion is really sort of like, you know, if we freeze it there, you can kind of go, there's 2.618, there's 4.669, there's 8.77, there's, I don't know, 16.88. I'm not even quite sure what the next number is. But I think that's how this sort of chaos pattern works. And, you know, every single portion of this, you can see there are little breaks in here. And hopefully you can see right at the very tip of the Mandelbrot set is basically this window right here, which is in essence this window just zoomed in on the next sort of degree of scale. So you'll notice that this starts looking like the bug. And it's basically the whole process repeated over and over and over, basically to infinity. So it's a really cool way to see how Feigenbaum's chaos theory and the Mandelbrot set work together. It's fascinating. Anyway, the sort of mystery of the universe in numbers. Point here is 2.618. That is one of those bifurcations. And what we often see, like what I see usually happens, and I've had a number of stocks do this, where basically if you set your chart to sort of logarithmic scale, that in essence the growth of an asset follows along this sort of path. And on a logarithmic basis, each of these points, right? This would be 2.618. This would be 4.669. This would be 8.77, etc. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. So there's one of our bifurcations. Now, we're going to hit this point, and as you can see, we have a choice. We can either go up to the next level, or we can go down back to the original level. Now, this is a bearish projection. So, in this case, it would be the exact flip, right? So, at the 2.618, we'll probably run into some chaos. And then the market asks if this trend, it had the big jump, but it's going to reverse back to the original breakout. Well, then it'll bottom here and it'll head back up. If, however, this current trend continues, it will consolidate here. And then the next stop on the bifurcation schedule is, wait for it, 4669, and we go through chaos there. And the interesting thing about this is that you look at that and you go, well, gee whiz, that's an awful long way. But if you actually change this to a log scale, what you see is actually these numbers are almost equal. It's freaky how this works. Actually, not quite equal, but not nearly as well, I don't know. That's not the right terminology. But the point is that when you see this on a log scale, actually seeing these bifurcation moves, it's quite remarkable how dramatic they are. So we could even do one on the way up just to give you an idea. Let's do this big one here. And really, I'm wasting a lot of time. We should be talking crypto. Sorry, everyone. All right, so there's chaos. Huge breakout. This is on the log scale. So there, I don't know whether this is even the best one to use or not. Well, I guess it is. So we can go, there's the range. So we can go the first bifurcation, boink, down to the bottom. So that's the first one. Then the next one up to 4669, or do we come back down to the 1? Then the next one at 4669 up to 877, or do we come back to 2.618? Here's a good example. You can see we hit 4669. It was just too chaotic. We had to come back to the 2.618. That's actually a really good example there. So really, that means that this got negated. If we do continue on that same schedule, the next big stop, ironically enough, we could probably even do one off of here and then start the whole process all over again. So up to 2.618, we're back down. Then 2.618 up to 4.669. Notice, could we go up to 877? No, first we had to check 2.618 again. So there's another good example where 4669, actually two examples in a row where 4669 was the limit. So then we have to do a new one, right? And in a weird sort of way, you can just see how this sort of walks the market up. Not quite sure how I got talking so much about chaos theory this week, but it is what it is. So this one's interesting. 2.618 was up there. I'm not quite sure how that plays into this. We might have to reset this off of these levels. Interesting how off of this consolidation, 2.618 is that level there. And did we have to come back down to 1.0? It looks like it's awfully close, but not quite, eh? 4669 is the next one. Did we have to come back down to 2.618 to check that? Sure looks like it. Look at this one, up to 877. And this is interesting, 877 up to 16. So you can kind of see the stair step of price as it's working its way up top here. So I don't know if, and the interesting thing with this is if we fail up here and we can't get up here, notice 4669 is off of this, if we have to check back, is basically down into here. So, wow, that's just a big bunch of gobbledygook, eh? Well, I mean, hopefully you get the general idea of how the market is moving higher. Keep in mind, this is a monthly chart, so it's probably a little bit better to be on a lower time frame. I do believe that the market has topped, and the way that I would interpret that the market has topped was that concept that I told you earlier about momentum divergence. And really, I have to be thinking that we are going to work our way down here as long as these momentum indicators are pointing lower. As soon as they start Wing out and bottoming out, then I can change this thinking. But until that happens, I don't know. I think I would feel very comfortable just in the simplest, just drawing the good old 50% rules. I mean, this is actually the very first technical analysis lesson I ever learned was this 50% rule. So if we just look at that 50% rule, that's there. And as we had sort of showed you there a moment ago, although it's awfully busy, there is a 2.618 right in that area. I thought there was. Oh God, how am I going to get rid of all this stuff? This is half the problem when you try to sort of teach on the fly. You know, obviously, if I had sort of well illustrated examples ahead of time, it would probably be much more effective. And keep in mind, I haven't even gotten to the point of actually incorporating this concept into my education program yet because I still don't feel confident enough that I can actually teach this with authority. I did do a couple killer trades through that last bull run that were really good working examples of working with chaos. So I might include them in a module that I write going forward. Isn't that weird? So there's the 4669. Where the hell's the 2.618? Hey, there it is. All right. So as long as this is still in operation, I'm thinking down to 2.618. And then we might reverse right back up top, or we might have to head down to 4.669. But I would definitely say with this M in place and look left, where is sort of the last key support line, and Mr. Fibonacci's 50% rule, I think, and really that's interesting. What do we call that number right there? I don't know, Paul, do you subscribe? I don't know whether you've ever heard me talk about it. I was pretty darn impressed. I went to my old prop firm, and the boss there actually was still using this reference. And he even, when he saw me in the chat, he's like, "Hey, it's Mr. Beamish, and he's this, and this." What letters am I thinking about here, Ben or Paul? Either one of you. No idea? Make it nice and easy for you. What is that? Maybe we'll even...
B.
B?
F.
All right.
R. N.
B.
No.
F. Can you fill in the rest of it?
Number.
R. N. So it's interesting how that's $103. What that says to me, this thing wants to come down to $100. Big fat round number. Thank you, Cotter. Anyway. Okay. Just to finish off this thought, because somebody asked about the fibs. First things first, whoever asked about this, you now know from here on forward for the rest of your trading days, 50% level is not a Fibonacci number. It would be impossible for such a even round number like that to be a fib number. Anyway, so you've learned that. Now, appropriate fibs. The levels that I teach in my education program are just simply 38.2, and I like to call that the first stop target. And what I've noticed, even made reference to it in the daily brief today all the time, very important. We can't even really determine whether this uptrend is over until the 38.2 level has been resolved. Resolved is either we come down, we test it, and we put in a nice W off of that level. That is a bullish resolution of that level. Or we come down and we M out and we lose 38.2 with bearish market structure. That is a bearish resolution. But very simply put, 30 years in this silly game, do yourself a favor and go look at this yourself just to prove to yourself subconscious. I mean, just grab random assets and start throwing on fibs. The easiest fib for you to start working with is this still an up move? It will all entirely depend on how that level is resolved. And interestingly enough, we have one gentleman, actually the gentleman who taught me this, his name is Ray Burchett, and he runs a program out of New York. So by all means, just Google Ray Burchett and IDT. But his attitude was just simply that this needs to be tested for us to even begin to actually talk about whether this bull market is over or just, hey, all we're doing is just correcting and we're just going to continue on our way higher. And I see it time and time again. Remember we said 50% is not a fib, it's WD GAN. Interestingly enough, a lot of sort of players on the crypto space, well, that's not the right way to put it. A student of mine who I sort of taught this first stop target, he found in the crypto space that quite often, if this is still a rip-roaring bull, we absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, do not chase. Just don't do it. You know, there's guys that eat gold-plated steaks that fill you with hype and fill you with FOMO and we're going to get stinking rich. They want you to subscribe to their newsletter. They want you to, use their referral code and go all in and bet your life savings. Of course, they make a percentage on that. They don't have a problem with you chasing. But me as a guy who actually wants to try and help you actually make some money at this, you're not allowed to chase these up markets. And one student of mine, understanding Ray Burchett and the first stop target, he said, well, if I'm going to participate in this bull, why don't I just wait for this level to be traded to? And then we'll just see if a nice W comes in here. And if it does, away we go. And he actually coined it. And I love when TRIers do really, really well and apply these concepts and basically own these concepts. And I'm more than happy to now, for whatever it's worth, I don't know whether he wants me to use his name, but I like to call this Collins Pump Chaser Zone. I think it's a great name and it works perfectly. I love that thinking. So that's a way that you can use 38.2 and 50% to try and help you get in on an existing trend, but don't get caught up in the chasing, because the chasing will kill you. The next level that I like to use is really more of kind of like a pit trader's trade. In that, just the same as, can we take it off of here? I guess it's right there, right? Just the same as 2.618 is an important number. 1.618 is an important number. Well, surprise, surprise. 0.618 is an important number. Is there actually a specific mathematical name for the 0.618? I don't know. But I affectionately like to call it the mountain man level. Mountain. I always put a nice little M on my charts whenever I post that so people can see. Actually, that's kind of interesting. There's a border on there now. Yeah, Paul. Paul, tell the folks, do you like using this level to trade?
Yeah, a lot.
All
I
right.
usually trade it in almost every time.
There you go. I'll tell you, like this guy, his name was Brandon Rigo. One of the best crude traders I've ever bumped into. Actually, no, Tolga, that's actually not correct. But you're awesome. We'll teach you. Your golden ratio actually is where we use fib extensions. And you draw a range, and then from the top of the range to the bottom of the range, if you want to do an extension, there's your golden ratio. 1.618. But that's okay. I know, Tolga, that you're new to this. So totally awesome that you're trying. But just yeah, no, don't apologize. If anything, that's the way you learn. But I don't want to see you make the same mistake again. So you better learn. And you know Brian, he can be a real jerk about this. Bye-bye, I'm a dicko. Remember, us trader guys that can go and make money from the market just trading, we don't need to sell you affiliate subscriptions. I don't need to do that. So as a result, I can be a dick when you're wrong. Sorry. Anyway, Brian being silly. So anyway, next key for the person who asked this, and the person who asked this, you're getting a nice little tutorial tonight. It's not really crypto, but hey, what the hell? I don't think any of us are expecting huge bull rallies in crypto right now. So, Gordon Recco, you're getting an awesome little tutorial here. So this is a really good pit traders trade level. Yeah, we'll give you a gold star for an E for effort, right? And actually, Joshua will be your level 1 TA there, Tolga, so you better get to know him and you better kiss his ass if you want to do well in the program. But I got to say, TRI teachers, TAs, they've got some of the nicest asses you're ever going to kiss. I'll tell you that much. They've got great asses. And no, I'm not gay. In fact, actually, God, I lamented about my wife today, and oh God, it's so painful. 11 years in, I'm still technically married. I don't even think she'll even understand that. But I love you, Jojo. Sure miss you. Anyway, so Mountain Man 61.8, as you heard from Paul, this is like the professional trader's trade level. You gotta be a pro at what you do to be able to trade this. You gotta have the balls of steel, and you've got to have confidence that you've seen it so often that you know what's gonna happen. I don't really like to just trade off of a level that's just been hit and then go. That's not my style. You know, I like to see lots and lots of reasons, confluence, all that. But a guy like Brandon, he would hit that level and not even think twice about it. Hey, it's 61.8 traded. I gotta take the trade. Just simple as that. So this is actually the start of the zone that I would actually consider that, you know, if I was running a book of retail clients and people are calling up and saying, Brian, what do you advise? You are my financial advisor. And I always would say, we have to force ourselves, if you're really interested in a name, you have to force yourself to buy down markets. Remember, institutions buy down markets, public buys up markets, public always loses money, institutions always make money. So I would basically tell my client base that I don't really even want you thinking about buying until we have at least corrected 61.8 of this most recent move. I know there's going to be a lot of pro traders like Paul and Brandon who are going to come in and start taking their stabs off of this level. And ultimately, my favorite fib is that 78.6. And I like to call it the line in the sand. Because usually what ends up happening, I've found, is that, maybe we dip here and then come down here. And often, if this thing is still any kind of bull, there will be a huge fight off this 78.6 level. Are they? Luna, oh boy. Luna, 67 cents now. Ouch. Oh boy. Well, down she goes. On BTC, share 61. Oh, interesting. Paul's saying that there's crypto. I mean, God, we can only talk about crypto so much right now, eh? But Paul's saying that on the Bitcoin chart, we actually just did trade to... what have I got here? This is not crypto stuff, so I guess I'll just go. Oh, actually, you know what? I think this is the side-by-side one. Yeah, there we go. Uh-oh, here they come again. More selling. Where can we do the Bitcoin chart just so you can see what's going on? BTC, USD, doink. All right. So I always like to do a 52-week range of these. So what's the high of the range? What's the low of the range? So over the past year, I would actually say that's your trading range. So I'd always do one of these. And actually you can see we're probing. There's last May right there, right? So there's basically the 52-week range. So we are probing the lows of that. But if we look at the entire range, my hunch is this is what Paul's making reference to. So there to there, and there you go, 61.8. Fascinating too, right? There is 61.8 off of that March peak of last year. And we had a lot of people on this site, and I got to respect this. This is a sign of a professional traders that were kind of like, something doesn't smell right about this. Do you see how what they've done here is they've actually artificially sort of conned people into believing that this 61.8 was traded to when it really wasn't. And this level has to be traded to. It's remarkable. It just has to. So, ironically enough, that's what I think happened. Boink, there's your 61.8. And you can see this is nothing more than a liquidity hunt against all of these lows. So, you might argue, and actually it'd be interesting to see. I won't put him on the spot now. But it would be interesting to see if Paul is thinking about hunting longs. For trade location purposes, I would actually say I've got two pretty good locations. And he says yes. I got two pretty good location reasons to justify hunting a long in here. But two isn't enough, and it's only trade location. I think I showed you earlier. I don't think we have any signs of momentum, bullish momentum divergence. Nothing here at all. Whether it be volume, price, there's just no bullish divergences there. But hey, we wish Paul the best of luck. Probably what's going on here is if we drill down to say like a 4-hour chart. Is that a bull div down there? That's a tough one, eh? I would probably just keep drilling down until you actually see the divergence, and I don't think that's in there yet. To actually sort of go, okay, well, this is playing off of this time frame. So I don't even think it's 4-hour. You can see the bear failure here still. So maybe it's like a 1-hour. All right, well, we have that low there and that low there. We just had that taken out. And, oh boy, we just got a bearish momentum fail here. So, still don't see anything yet. I mean, maybe what we can do is we dump down against these lows, make a new low. But MACD does not make a new low, and that starts the bearish divergence hunt. All right, something like that. But you can see now we're having to go all the way down to 1 hour charts. Maybe we'll see it even on like the 30-minute chart. Still nothing. But maybe this is the potential that if we do dump down into these lows, but do it on higher MACD histogram, maybe that's the start of our bottoming process. So me personally, I still don't even see a day trader setup here. Let alone investors. I don't think investors have it. Okay, now finally. So we got down to a 15-minute chart. Now you can see the bull div. So clearly this trade here is setting up. It did set up, in fact, probably the trade itself today. Oh, and Paul says this is his time frame. So there you go. But it looks like to me, using this concept of divergence to try and help you time your trade, I think that this trade set up on a 15-minute basis. There is the bull div. Bull div was confirmed right there. Boom. All right, there's your div. So now you just take the first W following that. And you can see down, up, down, breakout. Buy signal. Right there. Now, did this produce a 2-to-1 risk reward? Probably if we go down even lower time frame, we can see this in glorious Technicolor. Yep, there it is. You can see there's the bull div. There's the move. There's the W. Now the question I would just have is, could you engineer a 2-to-1 risk reward off of buying that W, risking against the bottom of the W, and where is 2-to-1? Wow, look at that. So close. Oh, that's frustrating, eh? And the question ultimately is, where do you get in on this thing? Looks like the breakout is 2898950. Right there. This is 289. What did I say that number was? 28989. Okay, well, there's $10 lower. 8955. All right, so gonna risk basically to a break of the bottom. Actually, there's a cute little W down in there, but look how close that is. Like 1.91 risk reward. Actually, what I do in my day trading is I set the initial profit objective to 2-to-1, and then WD GAN, I'll throw on a 50% rule of the anticipated move, and as soon as we hit this level, I have no choice. I have to move my stop to scratch. So in this particular case, I got screwed. Typical Bitcoin. Ugh. Do we find this on the futures chart? Maybe it works a little bit better. I don't know. But here, actually, I think I would have been busted out at scratch and just had to walk away. So anyway, that's probably my experience there trading that particular chart. I'd also say too, interesting. So the 50% rule off of that entire range, again, WD GAN, I think that's actually your profit objective right there. This is the VWAP, so don't worry too much about that right now. So that would have produced like a 1.52 risk reward. I don't know whether I'd even be interested in taking that trade, to be honest with you. It's a little bit, it's not enough to really get a guy like me interested in taking that risk. But nonetheless, just sort of walk you through what is the trade and how did it set up. I think that's the trade. The problem now is you can see we could probably even do something like we'll do a fib off of that range to that range, and that 61.8 to 78.6. I like to affectionately call this the reload zone. So you can make an argument there is the reload zone, and that might even be Paul saying, hey, I've already got this higher time frame, 61.8 fib. I'm going to let this thing develop a little bit. I've got the lower time bull divs confirmed. So now I've come into 61.8 on a lower time frame, And this actually is looking like a risk that's not bad in the taking. So 2-to-1 takes you up into that area there. So actually this will be interesting. You know what? I'll watch this through the night. Just to see, because you can see, as Paul sort of said earlier, you know, a lot of the guys who trade this 61.8, they just hit the level. They don't think twice, they just do it. So I don't even want him to feel jinxed. Don't want to put him on the spot. All I'm going to say is that's a pretty darn good working example of how you can hunt a higher time frame, 61.8. That's what these dotted lines are. Let the market come into that level. Let the divergence start to form on the lower time frame. And then you're sitting there hunting. Now, me personally, and I even just posted here, just hit the fucking level and stop talking, Brian. Me personally, I think I'd like to get some sort of candle pattern down here. And actually, ideally, to be honest with you, you heard me earlier. I love my 78.6s. So believe it or not, actually, I would love to be hunting the trade down in that area on the chart. But nonetheless, I think I could understand why Paul is interested in there. It's not a terrible idea. The only issue here is look at the time frame that we're operating off of. This is not an investor or a little old lady kind of time frame. This is clearly professional, day trader. I work levels. I have a very strict trading plan. I have very strict risk management rules in place. I don't risk a hell of a lot of my capital on any one of these trades. But if I am right and this thing works, I'm going to get paid relative to if I'm wrong. That's the trader's life. So actually, that's kind of a cool example there. So anyway, we'll see how this goes for him. As I said, if I'm going to get bullish off of this level, I think what I need to see is some sort of W come in there. But, you know, like I said, Brian by nature's chicken shit. So that really shouldn't surprise anybody. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of rhetoric. I hope I give you a nice little tutorial on how I use fibs right off of that higher time frame chart. There is Paul's 61.8, so it's really interesting to see how traders are starting to approach that level. I told you I look at this and go, ay caramba. I don't think that we go straight line down though, to be honest. It's almost too easy. Does it make sense that actually now, think of Willie here. Does it make sense now? Anybody who is going to either sell or anybody who's shorting has done it. Oh, and by the way, can everybody go and hit the like button? I'd appreciate it. Makes my life a lot better. If you feel like you got any value out of this, I know there's like 30 people watching. Yeah, Gordon, I hope you give us a half-decent review for that. But does it make sense here at this current juncture, especially with the way Willie looks, and we actually call this stupidly oversold, but does it make sense that if anybody that was going to sell, they probably sold? Remember, and actually this would be a really interesting, Ben, I think you probably know the answer. I'm sure, Paul, you know the answer. Let's leave this to the YouTube audience. What's the job of the market? What do you think, Ben? What is the job of the market? I'm sure you know this answer.
Yeah, is nothing on the YouTube channel yet?
Okay, yeah. Why don't we wait? Why don't we? Oh, geez, yeah. So it looks like Luna's pain is not done yet.
All right, gonna have to give him the answer.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Ring Colleen's bell. Hey, look at Wade got it. Right? And probably, I would hate to say it, but I think the market is doing this to Luna kids right now. But the job of the market, as Wade says here, is to take as much money from as many people as much of the time as possible. It's to inflict as much pain on the public as much of the time as possible. It sucks, but that is the brutal reality of capitalism. There's no way a guy who's driving around in a Lambo making a ton of money from trading is just making that off of one person. Actually, for him to be able to take a Lambo out of the market means that it's probably a whole bunch of people that bought his shill. I mean, that's just the way the market works, folks. It sucks. And if anything, what you're seeing out of Luna is really a bad example of that. So, just think of this intuitively. If everybody that is going to sell has sold, and anybody who was going to short is short, is that going to facilitate that function? No, it just won't. In fact, if the market dumps here, well, everybody who is sold is going to feel pretty good. Everybody who is short is actually going to feel pretty good. So what does the market have to do? The market probably has to get back to the point where it gets all of you going, well, technical analysis doesn't matter. Just buy up markets and you'll get rich, which of course is a complete lie. So, ironically enough, for guys like Paul, this isn't such a bad area for him to hunt that long. We're back against key support, buying against lows. We're at a very important higher time frame fib level. And as you can see, the market is egregiously oversold. So in a weird sort of way, I can understand why a professional like Paul would actually be in trying to hunt along here. I just don't think it's actually in the public, slower, investor best interest to get involved in this, because this looks dangerous. We might pop back up here and then M out, and then of course keep heading down to that ultimate correction objective. We might, which really sucks, just come here, go up like this. Paul gets his 2-to-1. He makes money. And then we just puke right out. And you're like, well, Brian, I bought Mountain Man. Why didn't I make money? Well, you did for about a week or so. And then you look like poop again. So that's why for investors, really, and I even said this to the community today in our daily rant, you know what investors really need to see here? And, looking at Stamp, this is a pretty easy way to see this. Back in 2015, can you see, again, this is a reiteration of this concept I've been trying to teach you guys here today. I guess today, for some reason, is MACD histogram day, eh? Because, I did a big old lecture on this in the Daily Brief, and for some reason I'm doing it here with you guys tonight. But to actually know that this market is sort of stronger than what price is telling you, notice MACD histogram made higher lows and then broke out through this level here. Boom. Bullish divergence. Take the first W you see, making money, bull market. It's stunning. You don't believe me? All right, let's do the next one. Shit market, MACD histogram, making higher lows, higher highs, move through the middle part, W, buy the first W you see, make money. Bull market. Two really, really good examples of bullish divergence on the weekly price chart in your MACD histogram told you that this thing was going to go up. There. So, let's fast forward to today. Do we have that image in our MACD histogram? And don't fight this, right? I'm not speaking to the Pauls of the world, because the Pauls, they are going to trade circles around all us fucking old fuddy-duddy slowpokes. And that's fine. Paul's a fucking sharpshooter. It's what he does. But what I need for all of the rest of the world who can't
do what Paul does. What I need for you to see is that this is actually stuck in what's called a coil. This is a really dangerous, dangerous market state. It's a really difficult market to trade. I mean, basically you have to try and come in and buy these dips, but understand that the actual trend itself is compressing. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And at some point, the damn thing's going to pop. And usually it sucks. I mean, we know if you've been playing this game for a while, there's one easy way for you to determine what the value of Bitcoin is. And I'm actually sickened that nobody in the public talks about this. It just drives you nuts. And I think it's got to be some sort of damn conspiracy. But this is back to cost of production. What is this commodity actually worth? How much does it cost to actually make one of these things? Now, the irony of all of this, of course, is that this is predicated on whether you can actually even get one of these pieces of equipment or not. But there were companies that were in the mining business, and they even publicly said, look, our cost to produce Bitcoin's about $3,000, $4,000, something like that. So in a weird sort of way, this is your fundamental window. What is the value of the commodity? And this is your technical buying window. So that person who asked, Gordon, I think this is basically, this episode's for you, dude. Can you see there is my reload zone? 61.8. You know Paul's going to be coming in here. And 78.6. This is where Brian, Chicken Ship Brian, is going to be participating. And there's Ben and his Benkoff check. First Benkoff check is actually the old breakout high, 20 G's. The next Benkoff check, which is probably the value that's going to line up nicely with the cost of production metrics, is that Benkoff check level is what? $13,324. So this is where I'm actually thinking I want to actually, quote unquote, invest in Bitcoins. Not up here. Sucks. I don't mean to sugarcoat it. And unfortunately, we're in the part of the cycle now. And actually, you know what I need to do is I need to update my matrix. Ben, did you ever see my matrix of like every single year in crypto broken down? And I would do all of the cycles, and I do the first cycle, second cycle, third cycle. Did you ever see those charts? Because it's shocking the way that you do it.
I don't think I did, but that sounds really cool.
Okay, well, after the call tonight, I'll work on that and I'll bang it out for the site people. So, maybe what I'll do is I'll do that up, and then the boys over the coming days can throw a little 5-10 minute summary video and throw it up on the YouTube page. So keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube page for that little summary piece. Or if I haven't done it, maybe we'll talk about it next Wednesday. Okay, so now let's, I suppose, now that I've talked everybody's ear off, we did a little bit of Bitcoin there. So unfortunately, of course, the message is not bullish right now, so I don't think there's a big hurry to do anything. Fascinating to see good old day traders. Paul's going to zip in there and play off the 15-minute chart. And you can see, look at, he's doing okay. So, pretty good lesson actually there in the lower time frame participants. But I'll tell you absolutely unequivocally, this is not for the public. Paul, just so these people understand how much time and effort you've put into this. How long have you been on the website just watching me day in, day out?
From 2018.
Since
And
2018.
Table 1 in 2019.
So 2018, roughly, that's like, what, 3.5 years. He's just been studying. About how many paper trades did you say that you put on, or, very small account size trades to actually get good at this practice? Do you remember roughly what that number was?
I remember the last year I have almost 1,200 trades.
1,200 trades.
Yeah, on small time frames.
I can tell you, most of you people in the public watching this video, that's not you. I mean, you gotta love him.
Yeah.
Looks like he's making a couple bucks here, so rock on. But you got to be a bit more advanced to be able to trade like a Paul. So just be aware of that. And hats off to you, Paul. I hope you make lots of money here. All right. Why don't we put that conversation to bed for today? Let's talk a little bit. Maybe we'll leave that on the side because I wouldn't mind just keeping an eye on that, see how we do. Let's do the request from the viewers and just run through a couple of names and then maybe call it a day. Oh, and then of course we have to do our grand predictions of what's going to happen next week. All right, so what do you think, Ben? Did we actually have any requests? Maybe we didn't even.
Yeah, we did. Up at the start, we had someone asking for Litecoin.
Litecoin. We haven't
Bitcoin.
looked at Charlie in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just try and go through them as fast as I can.
Okay.
And I don't know. Are you guys in a big hurry tonight?
No.
Okay, cool. Because we are kind of over time. So by all means, if either of you two are like, I've had enough of you, Beamish, I'm out of here. I won't be offended. That's totally cool. Okay, so first off, let's go take a look at Charlie. And I think we can look at it. Wow, do we even want to comment on Coinbase and what they said today? Oh boy, what a mess. If you're not aware, Coinbase basically said that in the event of them declaring bankruptcy, any coins that you have on their exchange could potentially become part of the bankruptcy settlement, which frankly speaking is completely criminal. That would be like saying you go to a bank, deposit money in the bank goes insolvent, and they're going to use your deposits to pay off their bills. How the fuck does that work? So it just goes to show, and that's the worst part about crypto, is it's an unregulated space. Remember we said, Janet Yellen earlier said, maybe we should regulate these kids. And I've said repeatedly, a little bit of regulation isn't such a bad thing. And to be perfectly honest with you, my hunch is over the next year or so, this policy should be reversed, or it's basically the death of Coinbase Exchange. So nobody in their right mind is going to keep any assets in size on that exchange if they know that if some fucking idiot over in Coinbase executive goes and blows the budget up on hookers and blow, that all of a sudden their coins now mysteriously pay for his indiscretions. How the hell does that work? Anyway. All right, so looking at Litecoin. Yeah, we're definitely coming back into the bottom of the range. Interesting how they've basically taken back the entire bull market here, eh? I do seem to remember that I put out a tweet suggesting that at some point we might go back up and test these old highs. So we did that. And probably the irony of it all is, in a weird sort of way, maybe Charlie here actually defines these cycles. Because it sure looks to me like there's one cycle, and probably there's the next one. So you want to know what the future is going to look like? My hunch is it's probably going to look something along those lines. And 2022, 2023. Actually, a good reference piece on the site is Mr. Benner. So that's in here. Here. Mr. Benner. He wrote this literally 200 years ago. 200 years ago. And he basically was telling us 2019 should be a peak. 2022, 2023 should be a trough. So I'm not really looking for a lot of anything through 2022, 2023. And it actually lines up perfectly with the idea that Bitcoin should bottom through that window. It makes perfect sense to me. So the issue here, I suppose, then is 2022, 2023. That's probably going to look like 2022 is the back half of 2018. 2019 was sort of a basing window, and that set up the next cycle, which I think is probably going to correspond. I think Winnie, his plan is, I think that they still have it going. I haven't heard anything that they've called it off. I would imagine with the war and the sickness and stuff, maybe it's been derailed. But, CCP, central planners, horrible, terrible economics where they just say, we are going to do this come hell or high water. If it means that, 50 million Chinese have to starve to death because of our collective decision, well, too bad. Just make sure not to be one of those 50 million people if you can. You see what's going on in their society now. I heard that they even have created another lockdown that's even more strenuous than the last one over there. It's kind of sad, but welcome to totalitarian dictatorships. Point being, I guess, is I haven't heard that the Belt and Road Initiative has been called off. Maybe they're going to take 22 and 23 to clean the whole damn thing up and then set the base for some sort of big people's reflation of the economy into 2000, where's that? 22, 24 would be there. And then the end of 24, beginning of 25 would be there, which would correspond with our typical, it's sort of like, how do I describe this? I think 24 and 25, it could be like this. Right? And then unfortunately 26 is going to be poop. Just like we're going through now. 21 was awesome. 22 sucks horse you know what. 24 is probably going to be I think 24 is probably going to be like one of these sideways years. And then 25 is going to be awesome. So actually probably got to move this over just a little bit, something like that. I'm not quite sure how long this is going to take to play out. But and actually, I guess the question ultimately is, I might have my years wrong here, but I think the next halving event is around 24 as well. Not for Litecoin, but for Bitcoin. And I think the Bitcoin halving event is sort of the official hit the reset button. So, you asked me, what do you see out of Litecoin here? And all I see is, there's nothing to be bullish about here, that's for sure. Probably a really good lesson that, had you had the tenacity to come in and buy, even bottom end of the range kind of conversation over the past few years. I'm going to buy this W down here. I'm going to buy this W down here. You have to pay yourself, folks. As the darn thing's moving up, you gotta spoon feed into the market, or the damn thing could just roll right over and go off the board. This is venture capital. Remember that, folks. There's no guarantee in any of this stuff. And, as unfortunately Miss Yellen's pointing out, this space is not even regulated. And I think that the jerks, the bullies, the high school kids are coming to beat up the kids in the crypto playground. They know that this is not regulated. They know that they can come into the playground and beat the crap out of us, and nobody's going to say boo. In fact, this reminds me of the Rothschilds taking over the Bank of England. It's the same thing. It's just different pile. Everybody got all sucked into bullishness. Got caught long. I think it's Citadel Capital, I think is the name of the bully du jour. Found a vulnerability, took advantage of it, and they're basically trying to put Luna out of business, which is really sad. And as Paul kind of said this before, keep in mind, the past two cycles, we have had stories of these stablecoin sort of ideas go down in flames. So this isn't unprecedented. New bits. That's the one that probably comes to my mind. So, there's probably a good example. Okay, so you're asking me what to do on Litecoin, and if you did buy up here, well, I mean, I suppose you're looking at a capital loss. If you do sell, it might be psychologically in your best interest to just book the loss and move on with life. Maybe you can be, they often say, many a short-term trade turn into a long-term investment. Probably a lot of people that got sucked into the buy side up here are now simply going to put themselves on a time horizon and say, well, looks like I'm not selling for probably a good 2 or 3 years. And in a weird sort of way, Wall Street actually gets away with this year in, year out, decade in, decade out. Because Wall Street can come to the public and recommend an idea there. And Wall Street can see the market absolutely crap out, and they don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. Why? Because on every recommendation they make, they always say you must have a 3 to 5 year time horizon. So, if you can have a 3 to 5 year time horizon, well, your investment in Charlie, you're just going to have to sit there and do nothing for the next 3 to 5 years. What I did find interesting was last cycle, this 17-18 cycle, I had a bunch of people that came on TRI and wanted to be little old ladies and learn this concept. But as we went through this, they all disappeared, which is really tragic because they really weren't little old ladies. They were speculators, and they just ran out of patience. And remember, the little old lady, she's off at canasta. She's playing bridge. She's busy in the garden. She's not even really too concerned about her portfolio, but, she heard at the canasta tournament that kids were investing in crypto, and she wanted to be a bit a part of this, so she called me up as a broker. And I said, all right, you want to go and nibble a little bit of this? Let's make sure we're down at the bottom end of the range, just like I told you guys earlier. And you have to have a 3 to 5 year time horizon. And if you do have that kind of perspective, well, you'll do fine in this space. But you just got to understand, man, this is insanely volatile stuff. In fact, Novogratz, in an interview the other day, he even said that he expected spectacular volatility, which means to me, I have a funny feeling he's expecting even greater price craziness over the next little while, and I'd have to agree with him. So put it all together, there is no sort of trade here. Do you want to, are we at or below reload zones off of the entire historic range? Yeah. You want to put yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan, nanny nibble, 3 to 5 year time horizon? I think you'll do fine. Is there a quote unquote trade here? Absolutely not. And in fact, if we zoom in on the short term, I think probably the trade, quote unquote, is actually to be short, not long. Traders got to trade. I might say, and the problem here, of course, is if we start doing numbers off of these, and you do things like A, B, C, Ds, we might just go right off might go negative. So to try and figure out levels, an easy way to work with this is maybe look at a log chart. And then, of course, you got to adjust your log chart. All right, so now you can see that old high up at 3,400 is not really that high anymore. And then we can do things like AB, boo-de-boo, CD, boo-de-boo. And you notice that the harmonic people are actually starting to think that maybe we're getting a little bit overdone to the downside. Remember I showed you earlier, though, that the harmonics, This is why I don't like to trade A, B, C, Ds just blindly, because technically this could also go 127.2 and 1.618. Where the hell's 1.618 on here? Mr. Tolgar's golden ratio. Okay, where the hell did the numbers go? Boom, boom. What did I do wrong here? Oh, okay, there we go. Whoa! Look how much further 127.2 is all the way down to $15. So, oh boy. This is going to be a challenging market. I guess we did it right off of these lows. Yeah, the original base here. And the problem with Litecoin is that I don't even actually know what the cost of production for a Litecoin is. Theoretically, it was just supposed to be like a Bitcoin clone, but there's just like 10 times as many coins out. So I'm not quite sure what the cost of production is. I don't know whether that's even a realistic objective. That might be a bit much. One technical pattern I've been working with lately, although I have no idea what the name is I often see like rectangles in the marketplace that are like that and like that. And then you get sort of like a tweezers effect. Like that. So we go basically kind of like here to here. And then I would do another one off of this high, which gives you another objective down there, and that's 43. I don't mind that. Also, too, we could do Fibonacci off of this. This looks like a pretty well-defined M up here. So 2.618 off of that kind of range. I don't know whether you'd use that low or not. Not quite sure. But that would produce something. But then I think we probably want to go regular. Yeah, there we go. So actually this kind of, I like this, but unfortunately these are horrific numbers. This looks nasty, folks. I don't know who asked me to look at this, but I just don't see a hell of a lot to get excited about here. So I would be curious if somebody on TRI wants to research this. What is actually the cost to produce a Litecoin? That might be an interesting conversation. And technically speaking, I don't mean to be rude, but this is a pretty well-defined Alt A, B, C, D to take us down to this 127. And Fibonacci Chaos. We can even do another one off of here. All right, same level. And probably these ones are like derivatives. Yep, so there's 877. Interesting, we're at a 4669 right now, so you're probably going to see a bit of a pause here. If anything, what we're lucky, and this is kind of like Paul's kind of approach. Remember, I did this big rectangle. Well, we could also do a smaller one here, right? So you got there to there to there. So something along those lines. And then you could do another one of these, there to there, and then another one there to there. So that sort of explains. In fact, it looks like we've gone too far. So maybe we get, if we're lucky, we get a little bit of support around this chaos level here. Although I don't know whether that, no, that might not be drawn correctly. Oh, there we go. We got to go up off that high there. And that low there. All right. So 2.618. You can see there's a little bit of a chaos that came in there. So that does align. So next little one, we should see some action here against 53 and change. But what was that term that I used? All you new people to trading, you got to learn this stuff. What was that term that I used to describe this cluster of levels all there? That whenever I see that, of course, that to me goes, oh boy, I see all this cluster. Clearly, I have to pay attention to that level. So, sucks. It's a brutal market, eh? And, you know, all I'm doing is I'm just the messenger. And I even joked the other day, I wouldn't be surprised if Joey Diamond, thank you, Wade, nice answer. Joey Diamond and all those people are responsible for all of this. I fully feel very comfortable in all of that. I will be the guy that actually talks to you guys. So, and what ends up happening is you guys end up hating me. Joey Diamond, he's long gone. You don't hear from Joey Diamond at all. And he will distract you with things like sickness conversation. He will distract you with war conversation. He will distract you with taxation conversation. He will distract you with abortion conversation. But Brian is here just going, oh, Jesus, well, it looks like we're heading lower. Oh, Jesus, well, it looks like we're heading lower, you know. Chachi's Treehouse. Okay. Never heard that before. Chachi? I don't know what that is. Chachi, wasn't he a guy on Happy Days? I don't know whether you remember him. Chachi? Joni Loves Chachi? Do you guys remember that? Is that too old for you, Ben? Do you remember Joni Loves Chachi?
There was a lot of reruns.
Yeah, okay, well, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, I remember being a kid, but that was prime time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how old I am. Actually, it'd be interesting. Do you have any idea what we're making reference to, Paul? Would they have Joni Loves Chachi in Romania? Probably not.
No.
No? Right.
Surely the Fawns.
Yeah, have you ever heard of the Fawns?
No.
Oh, well, there you go. Interesting. Wade here says, efficient frontier and rule number 2 has saved me a lot of pain. Well done, Wade. Sounds to me you're like well on the way. And do you understand, just you understanding those two concepts, efficient frontier and appropriate risk management, that separates you from like literally 80-90% of the investing public. Yeah, there you go. Sit on it, Potsy. Thanks, Cotter. Actually, Cotter, you were on TV at the same time, weren't you? Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back. I don't know whether you guys... Does that sound at all familiar?
Welcome back.
There you go, Ben. Oh, man after my own heart. All right. Anyway. Okay, so let's move on from Litecoin. She's pointing lower. If anything, if you're going to be trying to buy this right now, you are actually what they call trying to catch a falling knife. Is that really in your best interest? Probably not. What's the next one on the hit list there, Ben? Actually, it only took half an hour to do one. Jeez, we'll be here all night. Actually, it'd be interesting, but we'll be up to the point where Paul will be like, actually, I'm going to go for lunch now.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. Hey, Paul, thoughts? Give us some thoughts.
About what? About Litecoin?
Maybe Litecoin, maybe about the market, maybe about what the weather's like in Romania today. I don't care.
Yeah, weather is nice.
That's
Birds are
good.
singing. It's 6:30 in the morning.
Ah,
And the Bitcoin is 61 for me.
well, let's see. How's Paul doing? Do we want to go check in on Paul? Let's see how he's doing.
It's a nice higher time frame peep to search for longs.
And actually, this is interesting because
It's a nice area for me.
Yeah, I wonder if you would be like risking to this higher time frame 78.6. Because I do hear that you like to do that, you crazy guy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether I can even show that to you. All right, well, yeah, so 78.6 all the way down to 17,000 there, right? So, that's quite a bit of risk. I don't know whether I would be comfortable taking that, but really, it's
I'll
all
probably make 200 trades until the Bitcoin goes to that level.
Yeah, you'll probably trade a whole bunch of setups on the way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we do one more serious look, and then we'll call it a night. What do you got over there, you people on YouTube? I mean, we only got about 20, 30 people here. You guys, did you enjoy the conversation here tonight? I actually gave you a couple pretty good sort of tutorials. So anybody who just is following the feed and checking in, hopefully we taught you something here tonight. But Ben, did you say there was another one on the list somebody asked for us to look at?
Yeah, I think there was a couple more, but
okay.
The next one on the list I think was we could just make this the last one. Was Ethereum versus BTC.
Which one?
Ethereum versus BTC.
Oh, all right. Well, that'll give us won't probably give us a good sort of look at the trend for Ethereum, more than it's probably going to give us a look at who's driving the bus right now. Is larger cap, an interesting sort of correlation. I don't know whether correlation is the right word. Similar kind of relationship is in the stock market. And actually I did the boys put together a cute little tutorial on the YouTube page about this thing called the gold-silver ratio. Who invests in gold? Who invests in silver? I would argue that the Bitcoin-Ethereum relationship is almost exactly the same as this gold-silver ratio. So interestingly enough, in the stock market, the gold-silver ratio is actually pointing in gold's favor right now, which is the market's freaking out. And the economy is really weak. And I don't know, look out your window. I mean, and you listen to the way the Joey Diamonds are manipulating the public sentiment right now. I think that basically is spot on. Don't fight the Fed, Chair Powell, and all that stuff. So we can use the same logic. This is a risk-off proxy here. With this breaking out, this means the economy's not really that happy. So we can basically apply the same logic, and maybe it might be better to go the other way around. I don't know if you can do that. BTC ETH. Can you do it that direction? I don't know whether you're allowed to. Maybe I'm breaking the rules. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that odd? Anyway, nope. No. I guess you're not allowed to look at BTC ETH. Isn't that interesting? I guess there's this Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Yeah, there you go. So that actually looks a heck of a lot like that gold-silver ratio chart, doesn't it? Kind of looks like it to me. So, and this is, if we are heading up, this is a risk-off vote. That's very risk-offy. If we are heading down, then that is a risk-on vote. I think that kind of makes sense too, right? Wasn't last sort of October, November, December, wasn't this like all about DeFi? Wasn't DeFi like absolutely the rage last fall? Like if we look at something like Aave, isn't that a pretty good example of a DeFi name? When did it peak? Well, look, it peaked all the way last year. Maybe that's not the best one. What are some of the names that peaked last fall that were DeFi-y? I guess maybe just ET. AVAX? What did you say, Ben? Sorry?
Yeah, AVAX, Avalanche.
AVAX? Like that?
Yeah.
There's one, AVAX US dollar. Yeah, okay. So there's November. Probably, there is that risk on. Super duper, face rip up. We're all going to get stinking rich. Wasn't this about the time when everybody's going crazy over those NFTs and stuff? That seems to sound about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the message I'm trying to say here is with regard to this. This is sort of the fluffy fluff, and you want to make money on those NFTs and Paris Hilton and Decentraland. Speaking of which, we still want to build that booth. Now prices should come back down to earth. Maybe now we'll be able to afford a booth in there now. So that's working out well. What? Oh yeah, we didn't even ask the question, did we? Mind you, I don't know whether you two actually really pay attention too much, but I don't know. Are you hearing anything from Danny these days? Ben?
No.
No?
But I think maybe the attention's diverted from him at the moment. So
Yeah. It's interesting how Wonderland and Luna were basically in cahoots together, right? And they're both getting their asses handed to them. Paul, do you hear anything about Magic Internet Money or Danny or anything like that?
No.
Yeah.
All the attention is on Luna.
Yeah.
Ecosystem.
Okay, so back to that conversation. And I suppose you could even argue that that's probably when Luna peaked, was probably around that event. So, rah DeFi, rah legacy crypto. Is that what we use here? Is that what we call this now? Is Bitcoin legacy crypto? Do we call Bitcoin baby boomer coin? Is that what we actually have to say now? That would be funny if this millennial generation is so bitter that they actually label Bitcoin as the baby boomer, and things like the ape coin, right? Did everybody get all apey and get their ape NFTs and all that? That's the millennials, the next generation. Anyway, I guess what I would just simply say here is obviously we've got a pretty strong vote for risk off right now here. That's the way what I would look at this. How long lasting is this? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Jesus. God. The worst part about this, too, is this is exactly opposite of what we said there earlier. Can you see how this is making higher lows? And actually, gee whiz. Oh, geez, I don't know whether Colleen's still... I haven't seen Colleen on the site, but she did wish me a happy birthday, so thank you, dear. But whenever I would make this reference, Colleen would always affectionately suggest that I was still 12 years old. But what concept have we got going here, boys? We have this low is actually higher. What is that? That's 1327. 130058. So that's a lower low in price. But notice the MACD did not make a lower low. In fact, I would actually even call this one divergence. And then there's also, notice this. There's this lower low and this higher low. So I would actually say that there is a double divergence working here. And you might even argue on this event here, because this low is lower than this low, right? That's 1297, and that's 1303. So yes, indeed, that is a lower low. Ugh, come on, you. No, come on. All right. Well, you just don't want to cooperate, damn. Notice that this is also a cute little divergence. Oh my goodness. So that's like triple D's. Oh my goodness. So double D's? Triple D's? Ay. Clearly this market is telling you that the risk off vote is gaining in strength. Also, too, I used to work with this guy, actually, and from what I understand, he's ridiculously wealthy, so, hats off to him. I don't really like the idea of promoting poor behavior in the marketplace, so I don't like the idea of people sort of saying, you know, things like divergences don't matter. What do I want to do here? But this gentleman, he actually took the education program years ago. And even while in the education program, we worked on a trade setup for him that worked for him, and we would call this the Davo. Although I want to make sure. I'm not quite sure why. Oh, maybe because it's this funny relationship. I'm not getting a volume signal there. But notice we got a W in Willie, W in RSI, W in MACD right there. That's actually a Davo signal. That's a very, very bullish price pattern. So, you want me to look at this, give you my answer, or my 2 cents. I actually think, you know what this is doing? This looks like it's carving out an inverted head and shoulders. Where, I don't know where the start of this starts from, but it looks like that's a shoulder, that's a neckline, that's the head. There's the neckline. It's like a descending neckline, which is still valid. There's the shoulder. There's the potential breakout of the head and shoulders. And the way that I think that this is legit as a head and shoulders is notice that this shoulder, the right shoulder, is still higher than the left shoulder. So that's technically still working and it's valid. And my hunch is that, oh, okay, sorry, dude. Somebody on YouTube said we need to change the name. And actually, I think we even wanted to change it to Kalinos, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe I have to force myself. We're going to call it Kalinos from now on. I don't know. Anyway, point of the matter here is this very, very strong short-term pattern. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know where the hell this... Does this Luna even survive? I honestly don't know, folks. I really have no idea. But as long as this soap opera is going and going and going, then sadly, what it means is there's going to be a shadow overhanging the marketplace. Kind of like this is why it was so important, and if anything, it was kind of good that Magic Internet Money died as quickly as it did. Maybe this has to die just super quickly. And then they can go about the process. Now they're out of the spotlight. They can go about the process of trying to sort of reestablish credibility and making their community whole again and all that kind of conversation. But as long as this is overhanging the market, it doesn't surprise me that this looks the way that it does. And this is just this one. From what I understand, I think the shorters have gone after another one of these crypto sort of stable coin proxies. I can't remember which one it was. I thought it started with a... Is it the Aave guys? I can't remember. But I thought I saw somebody comment there earlier that they've actually they've picked up another one that they're going after.
No, the Justin Sun.
Justin's son, they're going after him, or he's going after other people?
No, after him.
Oh, interesting.
We have similar stable coin made on Tron blockchain.
Ah, okay. You know, the sad part about it is, you know, as I've said to you guys earlier, it looks like the bullies are on the playground. This is an unregulated space, and the bullies are walking around. It's kind of like fucking dickhead over there in Ukraine. Walking around raping and murdering and destroying their country right, left, and center. And there just doesn't seem to be a hell of a lot anybody can do about it. Thank you very much, Vladdy. Love you. Hugs and kisses. So you could argue that what Citadel is doing to these crypto kids in the playground is actually very similar to what Vladdy's doing on the ground in Ukraine. But I suppose that opens up a can of worms and stuff, so we probably shouldn't talk about that anymore. Anyway. Okay, so you asked my opinion. There is my opinion. And long and short of it here, I suppose you can start drawing things like foggies. You know, we could probably start thinking interesting 2.618s just off of this recent range that rally peak down against these lows and then the reversal, notice that that's implying that we're going to go right after this neckline. And then, of course, if we do break out, the technical target, and this should be fun experiment if nothing else, the technical target should be draw sort of a right angle from your head down to your neckline, and then literally clone that, and then project that off of the breakout. So if this really is an inverted head and shoulders, then there's your target up there, basically 877. And that would make sense, foggy boggy wise. Also, too, we could do A, B, C, Ds. So there to there. Interesting. This range here, although I don't like to draw foggies that way, I would, if I was going to do that, I would do it off the right-hand side, but that's just me. Interesting how that 2.618 lines up nicely with the head and shoulders objective. That makes a lot of sense. And if you want to see this the other way, you know, like I said, I like this as a way of sort of seeing that risk on, risk off proxy. But if you just want to see the other way, you can flip it around. Whoops, that didn't work. Try that again. You can flip this around, and there's the inverse image. So anybody who's looking at the regular image, this is bearish, and you can do all the projections and stuff. Interesting how this chart here, you can actually see there's a price gap at this level right there. And it might be interesting, we do that head and shoulders from this perspective. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just going to quickly do this. Something like that. Like that. So if we go through this, then we're going to do our head and shoulders. That will take us down basically against these lows. Eat the tails. Looks like there's also another gap right there. So there's a nice little target window. We can do fog and bombs off of this high going down here. That basically lines up with that head and shoulders level. Then we can also do things like, well, actually I did that. This is the head and shoulders, but what we'll do is we'll go A, B. Let's maybe color this blue. C, D. So there's your A, B, C, D. And then that means that we can go boobity boo. And go extensions. And this is what I teach in my level 1 program as the parking garage. And what's that guy's name again? Tolgar? I think that's his name. Tolga. Tolga, there is your golden ratio. Right there. So there's some levels for you to work with. A, B, C, D, boom, 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 boom. It takes us down into here. And actually we can even take this study and project that off of that high there. Interesting with that high though. I mean, maybe what that means is we actually have to go, because keep in mind this right shoulder, actually I think the peak was like, the highest point was right there. Kind of weird looking, eh? So this does look like it's still valid. So that actually, interesting. Maybe we got to go there. Actually, that makes more sense. Yeah, something like that. There we go. So, boom, 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 boom. So your A, B, C, D actually takes us to there. Interesting. So this A, B, C, D is going to take us to 127. And remember I told you Alt A, B, C, Ds, and I like this because now this makes perfect sense. And I don't know whether we'll probably finish with this note because I think it's probably a good note to end on. And it's funny because basically this is just a repeat of what I did in the daily brief today, but this is another good example. So ABCDs, where's our cheat sheets? Cheat sheets. There we are. ABCDs can take three different forms, right? So you can have the regular ABCD, which is just to the 100. So boom, boom, boom. You can also have it to 127. You can also have it to 1.618. Notice in this particular case, if we go boom, boom, there is that 100% ABCD. That's that level. There's 127. Notice that lines up, Tolga, with your 1.618 golden ratio. But 1.618 golden ratio at the alt ABCD lines up very nicely with that 2.618 Foggenbaum. And I like that thinking. The only problem with that, of course, is that valid with that high there? I don't know, maybe not. Tough one. So anyway, look at that. I mean, that price action right there is very bearish. Very strong momentum. I would suggest you maybe just leave this alone and let it settle down a little bit. What does settle down look like? You know, notice that this bottom here was pretty darn herky-jerky. Down, up, down, produced a rally. But look at this. This is exactly, if you're going to take a screenshot of usable information, this is a really, really good looking bottom. And this is what you really want your W's to look like, because watch what happens when we change this to a line chart. This W actually disappears. Hey, what happened to my W? But look how well defined that W is there. That's the poop. That's what you really want to hunt in the marketplace. So you're just going to literally buy on the breakout of that W right there. You're going to risk to the bottom. And, you know, just hindsight's 2020 kind of stuff. If you look to sell up here, that's 4-to-1 risk reward. That's the stuff that's going to buy you your Lambos. So you want to try and hunt those situations. What do you think the odds are there was a nice bull div that was forming through here? I bet probably pretty good. Yep, there it is right there. And you can see beautiful little W in RSI. Willie was stupidly oversold. So actually we call this a error dangonator on the website. You'd buy that W and you'd look to take profits at 50% of this range. So that is right there. All right, look at that. And notice, where did this thing stop? Would you have gotten your fill at that 50% level? If we change this back to candles, yep, see that? Right there. Doink. Merry Christmas. 5-to-1 risk reward. That's the stuff that's going to make you a fortune trading, folks. Can you learn how to do that? I don't know. Hope so. But anyway. Okay, so what do you think? Is that a half-decent summary of what I expect to happen on this thing? I think it was pretty good, eh? I don't know. You know, given the fact that we have a very tough backdrop in the market right now, I don't think I'm going to be seeing a hell of a lot that's a buy. If anything, I think we got to get through, I don't know whether I showed you, but we have an eclipse cycle coming up here. And that eclipse cycle, we talked about that, didn't I? I mean, geez, I've been blabbing away here for 3 hours. I'm sure I covered it. So that's...
Yeah, that May 16th.
Yeah, so May 16th, that's probably at the very earliest of when I would expect this stuff to settle down a little bit. And really, I hate to say it, 22, 23 Benner cycle, we're really going to learn, folks. I believe we are in the midst of the Great Reset. It is happening. Big Brother is taking over. They've had enough of this nonsense of these little kids flirting with the idea that the banks don't own us all and we're not slaves of them. Well, I get the impression we're being taught that actually, yes, indeed, we are slaves. And yes, they do own us all. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. God bless. Good luck, everyone. Oh, and by the way, wish me a happy birthday, too. Oh, there's a party for you. All right, I think we probably should leave it at that. There's not a hell of a lot more I can add right now. It kind of sucks, horsecocks. The one thing I have been telling people, though, is if you're brand new to this is actually the absolute perfect time to get off your butt and teach yourself actually how to do this stuff. So that there's a really simple rule in the market. Today's bear market is actually setting up tomorrow's bull market. So take the time, like Paul. I mean, how long did it take you to log 1,200 trades? I mean, God, that must have taken forever. What did you say? It was about a year or two?
Yeah, almost 2 years.
And now I would say Paul has this skill for the rest of his life. And no banker is ever going to be able to show him something and say, hey, Paul, why don't you come and spend your money on this? You're guaranteed to make money. Now Paul will look at it and go, nah, maybe not. Or if he thinks, hey, it meets his setup, he might go, you know what, actually, I think that's worth taking a shot. At least he makes an informed decision. And that's what we're all here to do. Instead of going, I don't know, maybe it'll go up. How about that one? That one looks good. Somebody said that one's going to go up. That's not informed investing. That's not informed trading. What Paul does is informed trading and is informed investing. And I'm very proud of him for him to he's taken the time and he's learned how to do this. And that's my invitation to all of you. Just take the time now. Learn this now so that in a year or so, when we're back in the bull, you can kick some serious ass. So with that said, I'm going to finish off today. First off, just let you know that we have a raffle for our upcoming school program. So if you're really lucky, I've included this link in the description of today's video. On Sunday, we are going to raffle off a seat for the upcoming term. Very least chance, maybe you win the raffle and you get to take the course for free. Wouldn't that be awesome? So, maybe pop on over here and just submit your name to the list, and you might just get lucky and win it for free. And if you've already bought the course or you're already in the... actually, I don't think anybody's actually bought. I think everybody's on sort of a waiting list right now. So, long and short of it here, you put your name on the list, and if you win, hey, maybe that's karma, right? Awesome. Yeah, I only want to do level 1 here. Somebody's like, hey, can I get all 3? Can I enter the raffle and win all 3 courses for free? Wouldn't that be cool? Let's leave it at level 1 for now. And by all means, I can't pronounce your name, sir, so I'm not. Maybe you can come on the site and tell me how to pronounce your name. But maybe get a friend. Maybe sign up, and if you win, well, then you can give the gift of a free course to a friend, to a family member. Tell you, it's definitely worth the definitely worth the money. I wish I had something like this in my life 20, 30 years ago when I was starting out. Then also, too, if you happen to be on the page, well, you can learn a little bit about what we do and who we are. I'm sure you like that guy, right? Mr. Bill. That's what I call you, Bill? All right. Sure you don't like that. But anyway, there's one of TRI's principles. Actually, it's kind of cool. I got a nice birthday message from this guy today. So there's our level 1 instructor, Grim. So you can get to learn and about various different people. Of course, Sartoshi over there is the TA on the level 1 program over there on the YouTube page right now. And as I've told you right at the beginning of the broadcast, you can come and hang out on the website, 30-day trial, just to get to know us. Maybe you might, after that 30-day, go, I really like these guys. PMA for the win. We're all trying to work together to try and help each other out. Make better decisions. Obviously, there's no guarantees in anything about this stuff. But at least we tilt the odds in your favor. And that, I think, is really, like I said, to start today off, actually, really, that's all we do is we're just edge. We're statisticians. So, okay. So with that said, there's the sales pitch. And, of course, we have a whole bunch of proprietary tools on the website that I think are awesome extra value. This dashboard here with all its signaling system is another package that you could potentially purchase at TRI, and I actually would like to see this become sort of industry standard, especially with things like the breadth indicator going forward. So lots and lots of different ways for you to participate and actually get a good value from the site. And as well, I think I told you earlier, there's some people that actually are like, just this silly library with there's just countless. Hell, we used to do shows with Coinigy. You can go on our old Coinigy page. There's probably 10,000 hours of video just there alone you could watch. So, lots and lots of value here at TRI. Okay, I think I'm going to finish at that. The only thing left for us to do is make our grand predictions. Paul, you want to say something here?
No.
No? All right. Since Ben actually was the most accurate last week, well, what the hell's going to happen this week, Ben? You got to lead us here. You're our financial advisor.
Maybe we'll go -1.
Still a bit more weakness, eh? Okay,
Said
minus
May
1.
16th, maybe.
Interesting. 16th is Monday, eh? So wouldn't that be funny if we got some sort of crazy ass bloody rally here tomorrow Monday? I could see this weekend everybody's going to be crying in their beers over Luna, right? Maybe it's some great fucking death spiral or something, right? And then out of the ashes, the eclipse happens, and then Tuesday, Wednesday we rally up and we finish on a up note. Who knows? But you're not optimistic, are you?
Maybe just below, and then from then on.
Okay, cool.
Maybe the week after we can start going bullish again.
All right. Paul, what do you think? Are you still uber bull? No, I'm just kidding.
No, just +1.
+1. Okay, so you do think we are going to bounce back a little bit here, though, eh?
Yeah. I
Okay.
expect a bounce from 61.8.
There you go. Like a badass motherfucking trader you are. Awesome. I hate to say it, I think I'm going to join Paul. I looked like a fool last week, but I don't know, call me a glutton for punishment. And I'm going to say, ironically enough, basically the same thing. Now that we have the blood moon, I'm going to say down into eclipse, and then up into next wed. So, call me crazy. All right, gentlemen, what do you think? Did you enjoy the rant here tonight? Paul, be honest with me. Did you actually like participating a little bit more tonight and talking a little bit more?
Yeah.
Did that work better?
Yeah.
Good. Ben, what do you think? Did this feel like a positive experience for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always good to go over those momentum examples and get it explained again, and always good value.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I hope you guys over on YouTube, as Bill says here, click the like button. It looks like everybody has, so I appreciate that. If you are watching through the week, later on, if you have questions, like I said, take advantage of that 30-day trial. If you did feel like you got some extra value out of this broadcast and you'd like to sort of help our little campaign along, we actually started this whole, at least I did, TRI Top 100 Crypto Review, because what I really want to do is I want to go over to Decentraland, buy a little plot of land. I've got about 10,000 mana now over on Trek, so actually that's probably what I'd use to buy the plot. But I just want to make sure that I actually have enough. So what I just ask people is if you do want to help us in that plot purchase, we have a little Ethereum address. I don't even actually look at it. Probably be a good idea to see what you guys have done. I don't want to do it on air to embarrass anybody. But there is the ETH wallet address if you'd like to donate. And then I've also included here the school page to sign up for the raffle. And you never know, man. If you're really lucky, maybe you'll get your education for free here this spring, summer. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoyed the offering. PMA for the win. Somebody says they were on a Beamish detox, but I sucked them back in. Not quite sure how that happened. I will say that I was actually starting to get the moniker, Brian bearish again. And everybody's getting all upset at me for being bearish. So maybe, if nothing else, I've gained a little bit of credibility in all my sort of cautionary speak over the past 6-8 months. I don't know. Okay, guys. Closing thoughts. Ben, you want to lead us off? Any kind of closing thoughts tonight?
Just a quick reminder to send some PMA your way for tomorrow with the boy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Liam always seems to do better when you guys think positive thoughts for him. I think I'll try, because obviously Julian's going to be a little stressed out here. Well, not obviously. I mean, everybody in the market's stressed, especially with regard to this silly Luna story. So I think I'll try and make an effort to be on the daily brief and just, be a bit of a support for him tomorrow morning. And I'll ask everybody again for some more karmic PMA. But thank you, Ben. I love that. I love the fact that you remember that week after week. That's really nice of you. Thank you, sir. If anything, maybe one day I would love. I tried really hard to introduce Liam to the group last time, but he was extremely stressed out and he didn't like that at all. So it just didn't work. But maybe one day, if we're really, really lucky, we can get him into a happy place and you guys can actually get to know him a little bit. That would be so fucking awesome. If you actually want to learn about Liam a little bit, it's kind of, I'm sorry I keep going on, but I do have a personal Facebook page. And I always post all my stuff about about Liam on this page. And there's my boy. Actually, this was us unfortunately visiting. I think it's healthy that he visits Mummy. So anyway, that's Mummy's last final resting spot. Liam loves throwing rocks in the ocean. So there's us. We call it the Professional Rock Throwers Tour. But in essence, this is where I post all my Liam stuff, and of course, he's everything to me. So over the years, I try to post as many videos as possible. Actually, I haven't seen that. There's another one from us down in the ocean. So anyway, okay, everybody, I think we'll leave it at that. Feel free to pop on the site and ask a question if you have. The only thing left we have is Paul. Any closing thoughts?
Just manage your risk. We are in a very hard mode.
Yeah.
Trading, investing right now.
Yeah. As Nick actually said in weeks gone by, he said, I think I'll come back to crypto when we're back into easy mode. And
yeah.
Paul just made reference to that again. We're not in easy mode right now, so I don't fault you guys if you're kind of like, well, Brian, I think I'm just going to cool my jets for the next little while. That's actually not bad advice, believe it or not. So thank you for those words of wisdom, and of course, Paul, a consummate professional. So you always, and I'd just be curious, why don't we leave this with this thought? I hope all you guys know what your number one job as a trader is. And that's really speaking to what Paul said about risk management. So have yourselves a great evening. I think I'll take us out this week. I asked Paul to do it last week and he kind of slapped me in the face. So I don't think we're going to be asking Paul to do this again. But I think I'll take us on out. It's the only thing left for us to say. PMA for the win. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Thank you so much to my co-hosts. You guys are awesome. Hugs and kisses. All the best, and bye.